Hello everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. How you all doing? My name is Eric. We have the live latest breaking Manchester United news. Bruno Fernandes bid has been made from Saudi Arabia. Al Hilal very interested in Bruno Fernandes. They are serious about this. It appears to be true. I think we're waiting for some more concrete sources, but this is the news that is being put out at the current moment, and some big United accounts putting this tweet out, or this news out, saying that Bruno Fernandes' bid has been officially made by Al Hilal. We're gonna get into it. Would you sell Bruno Fernandes for a certain price? Would you not sell him at all? We got a poll live, so vote and get involved in the poll so we get a gauge of the community. We got a couple other updates as well that we need to get through. Small updates. We're going to run through them sort of a little bit, and then we're going to get to the big discussion about Bruno Fernandes, because I think this is one that sort of divides opinion in the fan base. I think there's some that would gratefully sell him. I think some maybe they're a little bit on the fence about it, and some probably would be absolutely 150% against selling him. And I'll give you my opinion about it as well. But before we do, please smash the like button, because you help us get into the algorithm. We're trying to beat the algorithm here. We need to get pushed out there, so it helps the channel a lot. So please smash that like button. It's a great deal of help. If you enjoyed the content, if you enjoyed the community, if you enjoyed the channel, we welcome you to the family. Subscribe and hit the notification bell icon so you know when we go live, and you stay up to date, and you never miss a live, and you never miss a good discussion. Also, we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. We're on our way. We're very close. So, help us out there as well. We're at 2,934. The count hasn't updated yet. But, yeah, we're well underway there. So, let's get straight into the news. And this happened yesterday, later on in the day. So, we're just going to kind of go through it quick, because it's not something that really developed into anything. We got a little bit of some fringe news from some people, some less credible sources out there, saying that Luis Campos is in advanced talks to join Manchester United as director of football. Obviously, Luis Campos has a very good history in terms of director of football. He's considered one of the best in the world. He's put together this current PSG squad that, as I might say, he's transformed PSG into a much better team than they were. I mean, PSG tried to do their own version of Galacticos. We all see how that didn't go quite well, and ended sort of in disaster and a waste of money, and their team looked very bad. And he's sort of transformed them into this high-performing team. They're in the semifinals of the Champions League, and they look like they're probably going to go on to get into the finals at the very least, and maybe win it. He has an extensive history, and I was very excited when I saw this news, because he is probably top 5 in the world in director of football, and he's had very good signings, a very good identification of players, and signing them for good prices before everybody else caught on. So, I was really excited about this, but that excitement was killed very shortly, because then the more credible so-called journalists and people out there, such as Ben Jacobs, came with this update about 45 minutes later, saying that Luis Campos is still in talks over a new PSG contract. He is not an option for Manchester United, despite the links, which was not received well under his comment section by United fans. I mean, he's just doing his job. It's not his fault. But, people were very upset, saying you've ruined my evening and stuff like that. And rightfully so, because I think if we got this guy in and we put him there, the hierarchy would look even more fantastic, and even better than it probably already, was sort of looking. And, Fabrizio kind of reiterating that and chiming in as well, saying that Luis Campos is not negotiating with Manchester United as of today. That was yesterday. That was last night. So, yeah, that one seems like, he's probably not going to go anywhere at this time. The source was sort of far fringe, and he's probably just going to get a new contract um, at PSG. So, I mean, this is the life and the day of a Manchester United sort of fan and being involved at the club. Our name gets used a ton and everywhere, and it's very hard to navigate, and it's very hard to, kind of find out, at least in the immediate aspect, if the news is true or not true, or it's just our name being used. So it seems like our name was being used. I mean, there was a story back in February that Sir Jim sort of held talks in some sort of aspect with Luis Campos, whether it was him or his people, and about director of football, but nothing really materialized, and it wasn't that serious. So there might still be a chance, maybe at some point. Maybe he doesn't agree to a new contract. Maybe the negotiations break down, and maybe he ends up leaving PSG. I think if he ends up leaving PSG, it could be a real possibility that we get him. But I would probably lean it more towards the fact that he's probably going to get a new contract at PSG at the current moment. So, we'll see how that develops, but, it is what it is. Shout out to the chat. Rajat's here. Lion's here. Lyle is here as well. How you guys doing? Lyle says, I suspect that his reps used United to get a good deal. Sergio Ramos-esque. Yeah, I mean, it could be. It could be. Maybe it's to put a little bit more pressure on them. If you drum up this significant interest from some other big clubs out there, PSG might be willing to negotiate, maybe give them a little bit more what they want, or maybe just do the deal faster. So there's always that aspect. That is always played into every aspect when it comes to football in these sort of things, whether it's a player in a transfer or somebody in a hierarchy position like director of football, a technical director or something like that. So it could very well be. I mean, the source wasn't great where it came from. I mean, this source, not that source, sorry about that. Where did my source go? My original source. This source, this source is not, this isn't Ben Jacobs. This isn't Fabrizio Romano. This isn't Laurie Whitwell. I don't know who this is, to be quite honest. But all the aggregators sort of took a bite out of it and put it out. And it kind of started a storm online, and then it was shut down very quickly. So, we'll see what happens. It would have been amazing if we could get him, because I still feel like we do need a director of football, especially after getting rid of Ashworth. And I know we have Havel there, but if you get somebody on his level with his expertise and his track record, it just adds a whole different dynamic and aspect to what we can do in terms of recruiting and rebuilding and making Manchester United better again. So I hope we do get one, and I hope we do get a very good one. But I guess we got to wait and see. There's been some news circulating around the hierarchy sort of positions. I mean, there was one about somebody that was at Chelsea. He has a long track record. He's been there for quite some time. He left last year. Sorry, I couldn't get that out. He left last year, and supposedly we were going to look into him. There's been some back and forth with that. It seemed like we were negotiating to get him back. There was a story that came out saying that it might not be the case. So I think they're still, I think they're still looking to add and improve that sort of aspect. But I don't think any real decision has been made, and maybe we'll get one over the summer or something. I guess we got to wait and see. Lion says, just looked it up. Campos was linked in December with us and Arsenal. Yeah, apparently, there was a story that Sir Jim held some sort of talks with Campos or his representatives somewhere around January. It was around December, something like that. But nothing was really concrete. Nothing was that serious, and nothing really materialized out of it. So I think they have some sort of, I guess, connection on a certain level between Sir Jim and maybe his entourage and people, and maybe they have been considering him. But the fact that he's in contract negotiations, you know, it leans more towards our name is being used at the current moment. Now, if it's announced that he's, you know, gonna leave and the negotiations break down, then it becomes very more real. But at the moment, I don't really think it's something that's gonna materialize for us. But let's move on to Anthony, because we want to get to this Bruno story, but there's a couple smaller updates that we got to get through. So before we get to the main big one, we have an update about Anthony. Obviously, Anthony scored another goal yesterday. Was actually a very fantastic goal. It was top bins goal. And we've seen him do it a couple times at United. You know, sort of the similar thing. Right-hand side, cuts in from the left, puts in a curler into the upper 90. And you couldn't have put it in more into the corner if he tried. So it was a really good goal. He's been fantastic since he's gone there. And it's good for him because he's excelling in La Liga, and I have no problem with that. Again, I think, you know, I think before we even loaned him out, many of us, especially in this community, said that we could see him probably playing good and excelling in La Liga. It sort of fits his style, and I think that's sort of been the case, which is why, again, we got to do better in recruitment. Obviously, it wasn't a good fit for Manchester United. It wasn't a good fit for the Premier League. You know, there's been a story that Arsenal is sort of interested, along with Atletico Madrid, in Anthony. I mean, I would like to see. I wouldn't be against him going to Arsenal, because I would like to see how he performs, because I want to see if we're proven right or wrong. I want to see, is it really just us, or was he just a bad recruitment buy? He didn't really fit the league. Spanish football and La Liga football suits him much, much better, and he can excel there a lot better than he can in the Premier League. Or is it really just Manchester United? Because I think a lot of our sort of players being bad and turning out bad is because the recruitment is really poor, which makes it more on us. It seems like when you get a player, they come and die. But I mean, if you make poor recruitment choices, that's always going to be the case anyway. So, but this update goes as follows, and I have my 2 cents to say on this when I read it. So, a meeting took place last week between Betis and Manchester United regarding Anthony. The proposal is to extend the loan for another season, this time covering almost the entire salary. Got a big no-no about that. Betis fears that another team will come with a 40 million euro proposal, which United would accept. Well, I'll tell you this much, Betis. Again, I'll tell you, you know, you seem to be very happy with him, and if you're that sort of if you're sort of that nervous and you fear that much, then put the money where your mouth is and sign him. You know, I for me personally, I don't like this. I don't want an extension of a loan. We need the money, and I want the money now. And you know, I don't give two shits about Betis, really. If you want him, pay him. We want 40 million. He's been performing excellent for you, and I think 40 million is a good price. The best part about this is, and this is why I hope he continues to perform as good as he possibly can until the season ends, is because if we can drum up more interest from other teams, we can't be held to ransom by Betis. Because if it's just Betis, we probably have to succumb to the fact that they can say, we don't have money, we'd like to keep him on, maybe we'll pay you next year, and that doesn't help our situation. I want the money this summer, and I want this deal done as quickly as possible. Also, I have a problem. There's also this other problem with the fact that stays in the back of my head. When Anthony left Ajax, he went on strike and refused to go to training and refused to play for them, and held out to push through the transfer to Manchester United. And I hope we don't find that ourselves in that situation again, because if he holds us to ransom because Atletico Madrid want him and are willing to pay 40 million, and Betis want to give us a loan for another season and pay his entire salary, which doesn't help us really, for what we need this summer, because this summer is the summer that we need the money. We need the money. We need the transfers. Ruben needs the players. I hope we don't find ourselves in a situation where he says, I only want to go to Real Betis and I'm going to go on strike. I'm going to make this as difficult as possible. Again, Betis, in my opinion, if I'm going in negotiations, I tell them, I don't want to hear it. Put your money where your mouth is. You either like him or you don't like him. He's either good enough or he isn't good enough. Pay the 40 million. or F off, or we're going to sell him to somebody else. You know, I don't want this loan and another season. No. There's no way they should be able to get that. You know, no way. Not in the position that we're in. Not in the position that we're in. Not the way that we're looking right now. Not the fact that we need money. That doesn't benefit us in any way. He's gone there. He's played good. If they want him, they should pay the money. You know, they should pay the money. And that's it. Lyle says, if we get an obligation to buy from Betis and nobody else comes in for him, sure, I would go for it. A full season in La Liga could bump up that price even more. Well, what I would tell you is, worst comes to worst situation, actually, I mean, I wouldn't even put in an obligation to buy. Actually, I don't know. Actually, you got to kind of think about it. Because I'm thinking, well, he's playing this good. I think if he has another good season, you're right in the aspect that the price can go up. But then I'm starting to get greedy there and think, well, if he has another good season, there should be more interest in him. Maybe we could get an even higher fee than 40 million for him. But then I guess you can't be that greedy, because if it doesn't go so well and you send him out on loan, then maybe you stand to lose money. So maybe you're just better off guaranteeing and locking in the money. Worst comes to worst situation if there's no other interest. But apparently there is some other interest, because, I mean, Atletico Madrid has been being named, and there's sort of been an Arsenal. I find the Arsenal one less likely, but I feel like the Atletico Madrid one, there might be something into that, and we got to wait and see. So, Rajat said he didn't have good confidence, but they won't pay. I mean, but they got to pay. You know, it's... You have a player there. You either pay for him or shut up. I mean, there's nothing really else to say about that. Pay the money or F off. As far as I'm concerned, you know, I don't know why when it comes to us, people want to dick around and play with us with the transfers, and then they hold us over a barrel and try to beat us over the head with a stick when we go into negotiations for players. You know, yeah, we don't want him, but you know what? He's performing very well for you. He's probably been your best performing player since he's come to you in January. Do you want the player or not? You want him? Pay for him. You can get 40 million. I don't care how small of a team. Betis have 40 million. They have 40 million. They can get 40 million. There's no way they don't have 40 million. You know, so I'm not accepting this. They don't have money or whatever. There's no way that they don't have 40 million for Anthony in the summer transfer window, where they can sell a player or two as well and get some money. So, Lyle says, I would also say, hey, pay up, LOL. But if the loan is the only offer on the table, an obligation to buy. I mean, if the loan is really the only option on the table, then, I mean, there's nothing you can really do. And obviously, I'm not going to take him back. I don't care how good he plays for Betis. He's playing good for Betis. He didn't play good for Manchester United. So I'm not taking him back in any way. So I guess you got to do that. But I would really, really try and force it as much as possible. And I would exhaust all possible options to try and either get them to pay or get somebody else to pay. Yeah, I wouldn't go down without really fighting and sort of dragging it out a little bit and making it sort of frustrating, and playing some mind games, you know, even putting out some you know, maybe some fake transfer stories that there's other clubs interested, and United are, you know, working on a deal, and kind of try to force their hand. You know, I think we need to be a little bit dirty when it comes to that. You know, as we just said, tons of people use our name and try to get better deals, and we need to start doing the same thing and start putting out maybe some fake stories from our side to drum up even more interest for some of our players, and change the optic a little bit, and force teams to give us what we want and what we need. Lion says Den Nielsen is still Betis' most expensive player. They won't spend that much. No. I disagree, Rajat. Do not let him come back to Manchester United. No. I don't care how good he plays at Real Betis. It's La Liga, and we had 3 years of him at Manchester United, and it was all very bad. 3 years is enough. 2 years is, you can make an argument, is enough to see if a player is good, or if there's anything about him. It didn't go well. It's not going to go well. He doesn't even fit the system necessarily, although maybe he could play wing back. But yeah, no, I'm not about it. I mean, not about it. Get rid of him, move on, and get somebody else. Steph's here as well, says big up Eric and experienced experts. That's right. Experienced experts. Lumen says we don't use dark arts on and off the pitch. I mean, yeah, I don't know about on the pitch, but I mean off the pitch, dark arts would help. I mean, a little bit of shady sort of you know, use the power. We have pull. You know, we sort of technically control. I mean, we should be able to control the media. I mean, the media, they never nonstop talk about us. They love us because they get us the most clicks. We should be able to use that to our advantage. And I think we do use it in certain situations, but I don't think we use it necessarily to the best to the best ability for the club. I think we need to start doing it more in transfers. And I think we use it too much sort of in commercialism and not enough in you know, trying to change the narratives around players and sort of, you know, make people maybe want some more players. So Liza says, but for real, if there are other offers, then bring it on. But we can't keep Anthony simply because we want a certain amount. We should consider options available only if there is nothing else. Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, listen, I've called out the club for doing that. We cannot keep him under any circumstances. You know, I don't really accept this loan. I think there's a way that you can force to get a deal. And maybe the deal isn't 40 million, maybe it's 30 or 35 million. I would still advise the club to take that money and do what they got to do instead of, you know, being very stubborn and holding on to a player like we've done in the past, because the fee wasn't necessarily demanded. At some point, you gotta say, we did everything to negotiate. Now we're at a path. We either accept 30 million or we get nothing. And you know, what do you do from there? I don't think Ineos will necessarily do that sort of thing. I think Manchester United in the past were reluctant to do it because everything was about players are assets and they're written off on the books. And if you sell a player that you bought for 80 million for 30 million, it's you know, or 40 million or 50 million, it's a 20 million you know, loss or whatever. And they don't want to write those sort of things off on the books. I think Ineos will try and get the highest price possible, and I hope that they're not too stubborn to do the correct footballing decision and move on the players that you need to move on. So, Rajat says La Liga have own guideline that England don't. Well, what does that mean? What guideline do they have? Because I'm not aware of what guideline they have and what that entails. So, if you want to tell me, you know, that's great. Financial guideline. I mean, yeah, but like, what does it entail? What does that mean? Like, what implications does that financial guideline have? Does that mean that they can't spend 40 million on a player? Lion says, let's wag the dog on this. As you said, let's create a bidding war for Anthony. 3 teams should be enough. Yeah, I mean, I think we should be doing that sort of thing. I mean, you know, I feel like maybe we do it a little bit. I feel like we don't really do it enough, though. I feel like we can do it much stronger. You know, we're a massive club. We're a massive institution. We should be able to hone the power of Manchester United and sort of contact probably everywhere all over the world and put out some information that might not be, you know, true, but it'll spin the narrative to help us. I think we do it in other aspects in terms of PR when we try to spin positives for the club. But I don't think we do it enough in transfers. I think, you know, we kind of need I feel like we needed like a transfer war room sort of thing where like we have a bunch of people just sitting in there just coming up with like schemes to spin narratives about players that we're trying to get rid of and draw up some significant interest and put on pressure on teams that are actually seriously interested. I feel like it's done to us a lot and we don't do it enough back the other way. So yeah, but let's move on from Anthony. We had a small little update about Mastantuono, the young kid. We need Brighton people. Well, yeah, I mean Brighton like people. I mean, we could just copy what they do. I mean, it's out there in the open, Lumen. It's out there. You could just copy the blueprint. I mean, we don't have to necessarily always redesign the blueprint. The blueprints are out there. The blueprints are there for anybody to really use. It's just about taking it, using it, and implementing it in the correct way. And I guess you do need some good people to, I guess, at least execute it and implement it. But I mean, it's not like you need master scientists to create one from scratch. They're out there. We should be doing, we should be looking at what works really well for other clubs and making it part of Manchester United and implementing it into our thing. But Mastantuono, Manchester United are contemplating. We're always contemplating, by the way, but whether to up the ante in their pursuit for Franco Mastantuono by triggering the release clause written into his River Plate contract after Old Trafford recruitment chiefs discovered that fellow suitors Real Madrid are not rushing into acquiring his services. Again, I don't know enough about this kid. I still feel like 35 million for a 17-year-old playing at River Plate in Argentina league is quite expensive, and I feel like it's sort of a big gamble, especially when we have financial concerns, and we don't have the best track record with signing players for good fees and either being able to make profits off of them or not suffering huge amounts of losses. So I don't necessarily like this deal in terms of I don't really think United should be paying 35 million for this 17-year-old kid. I mean, I don't know how actually good he is. Maybe he is technically already worth sort of 35 million. I don't think so. Because again, Argentina League, River Plate, 17 years old. I think 35 million is quite a massive fee. I mean, you never know. The kid could sustain a really bad injury at 19, never be the same player again. And that's 35 million down the drain. And again, kind of how Lumen said, we need Brighton people. Well, I mean, there might be an argument that says that Brighton maybe. I think Brighton have money, so I think they could do this deal. But I feel like, would Brighton do this? I feel like if Brighton is so good at getting these sorts of players, would Brighton pull this deal? I don't think so. I think that the risk to value it's way too high. It's not a good calculated risk. I think the money is too high for that sort of risk, for that certain level of unprovenness. If you were telling me that 5-10 million, then pull the release clause and get him, whatever. I mean, Brighton have signed players that are like 5-10 million, 7.5 million, and they're absolute steals, and within one season they look to sell them for 50, 60, 70 million. To pay 35 million, and if he ain't that good, I think it's not great. Also, by the way, I mean, I will say this. I mean, if you're gonna pay 35 million for a 17-year-old, the point that I'm making is he better be good enough to go sort of straight into the team, because you're spending 35 million. It's not like we got cash floating around to spend 35 million to send him to the reserves for 2 years. So if he is that good, and he better be that good, if you're going to pay this money, then he better be good enough to go into our team and play in the first team and have an impact. Which I don't know if he can. I think that's highly unproven. And it's not really our job. That's the job of the scouts. That's literally their job, for them to identify that and for them, to make that call and make that decision. So, PSG also want. I mean, there's a bunch of teams that are looking at him. I'm sure he has some sort of a talent. I'm not saying that he's like, I don't think he's Bebe. I don't think he's Bebe level. I think he has a good talent, but when you're weighing up 35 million for this 17-year-old kid that plays in the Argentinian league, I mean, and you look at our situation, the risk to cost assessment, it seems like a very, very risky and sort of foolish move. I think a team like Real Madrid are in a better position to sort of take that risk. And I don't even think that I mean, the fact that it says that, they're not rushing into acquiring his services, it seems like that they're not even necessarily that interested in paying the 35 million. If anything, they'd probably negotiate it. I would advise Manchester United from paying the release clause on this. I think they should try to negotiate it and get the cheapest deal possible if they're going to do it. So exactly. Like Lumen says, like the Ahmad risk we took. Well, Ahmad, I mean, it was a risk, right? And it was for a good amount of money. It was slightly different because, not for nothing, but I know, like, at least the Serie A is considered the top 5 league in Europe. It's sort of a bit different. The circumstances. And I don't think Ahmad he was a good piece of money, but he wasn't this much money, and he was a little bit older, if I'm not correct. So it is a little bit similar to that. It has some differences to it. And I think we were, it worked out for us. And maybe this could work out if we do it too. But I think, trying to operate properly as a football club, we need to be smart. And I just feel like that this is very, very risky piece of business to do, and it really backfire. And I don't feel like we're necessarily in the position to sort of take these risks. It's sort of like if you gamble on sports or something like that, and maybe you have $10,000 in your bank account. Should you really be putting in bets that are worth, $2,000-$3,000 a piece? I mean, that's very risky. You're betting a certain percentage of the amount of money you have, and if you lose it, you're gonna be, in big trouble, and you're gonna be down very bad. You're gonna be hurt very bad. And then that's why you should be minimizing that sort of risk. If you have $10,000 in your bank account, I mean, maybe you probably shouldn't be betting at all. But I'm just saying, if you have $10,000 to play with, maybe you should be doing $100 bets, not $2,000, $3,000 bets. You know what I mean? So you have to minimize, you have to manage the risk. Chat, what's the chat saying? Lumen says it's normal to spend over 20 million on potentials nowadays. Maybe not. I think it depends where you get them from. Again, Brighton doesn't really necessarily do that, do they? I mean, maybe they've done it once or twice, but Brighton hasn't necessarily done that. There's ways where you can get. I mean, look at Heaven. I mean, we got him for free. There's deals out there where you can get some quality youngsters, for cheap. You don't always have to go and spend 20-30 million. Lion says, trust me, this kid is the real deal. I've watched a few games of River Plate this season. He's going to be a 100 mil player in 2 years. Well, maybe he is. But again, I would advise the club. I mean, we have the scouts and the recruitment department. That's their job to get this right. So if they assess that, and in their professional opinion, because that's literally what they do every day for a job, and that's their expertise. So they should be the ones to know more than pretty much anybody. And how he would adapt to the Premier League and stuff like that. And what's his strengths, what's his weaknesses. Then I guess go ahead and do it if they believe it. But it's not a deal that I favor too much. I don't really like it in our current situation, to be quite honest. Rajat asked me if I would take Ozil on loan. No. No. Why would we take Ozil on loan? I wouldn't take Ozil for free. I wouldn't take Ozil if he paid us. Absolutely not. Lancer Evo says sell Hoyland with explicitive. I mean, we don't really have to, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, just get a striker for me. Lance Evo says roses are red, violets are blue. God made goat. What happened to Hoyland? I mean, yeah, I guess he certainly doesn't like Hoyland, but I would tell you this, you know, not for nothing, and I'm sure an excuse will come out of it somewhere. But please tell me what Cheeto Obi Martin did yesterday, and how good Cheeto was. Because, again, I'm not saying Rasmus Højlund is world class or anything like that. And maybe he's just a very average player. But if we don't figure out how to play for the striker, which we haven't done so, barring Cristiano Ronaldo, because it was Ronaldo. If we don't figure out how to do that, regardless of who the striker is going to be, the striker is going to struggle. Now, if you get a top-class striker, yeah, sure, they'll create some goals out of nothing situations, maybe more so than, Rasmus can do right now. But it's still not going to hit the way that we want it to. It's not going to hit the way that it should hit. So, I agree. And I've always said that, number one, Rasmus was never supposed to be the main guy. So we need in my opinion, experienced, ready-made, top striker. We've needed it for years. We've never really addressed it properly. We've gotten, past their prime strikers coming in for 1 or 2 seasons, sort of doing a job, but there's no longevity in that. And I'm not that big of a fan of Liam Delap in the fact that he's also young and sort of unproven, has 1 season in the Premier League, and I don't think that's the sort of striker we need. I would actually probably go and get either Gyökeres or Osimhen, because those 2 seem to be the big top main ones, the best ones that are available to get. I'd get them. I'd keep Rasmus as a second. You have, if we get Cunha, you can swap him in there as well. And there'll also be Xerxes. And I think you go with that and see what Rasmus can sort of do when the pressure's sort of taken off of him and not being the main guy and learning sort of behind the scenes and being the relief and being, the help. And if it doesn't seem like, there's really any improvement there, it'll be a 3rd season. And then maybe you sell him from there. So Stephanie says Euro chose United over Madrid. Let's hope Mastantuono does the same. Well, I think it's a bit of a different aspect there, Steph. I mean, the South Americans, they tend to like Barca or Real Madrid. They tend to grow up being fans of them. And also, just sort of the culture and the weather and stuff like that is a lot more similar in South America, in Spain, than it is in England. So they tend to go to places like that. I think Lenny is French. Well, I know Lenny is French, but I'm saying because Lenny is French, I think maybe it's not as big as an impact there. And also, I think Lenny kind of knew that he would have a bigger opportunity. And obviously, rightfully so, because he's starting games. I don't think he would be starting matches at Real Madrid. And I think he would be sort of fairly down in the pecking order at Madrid, then coming to United. So I think that sort of had an impact. But, I mean, let's see. Junior Gaba says, would you take Fermin Lopez from Barcelona? I'm not really against any sort of player, to be quite honest with you. I used to really get caught up in specific players. Like I would have like sort of a dream list that I would make. I don't really do that anymore, because for me it's sort of pointless, because I don't have control over it. But I mean, he's a good player, but I don't think it's realistic for us, and he's going to cost quite a lot of money. So I mean, if it was a deal that we could do realistically, and it was 60 million and under, I take him. I think he could be good there, but I don't think that's something that we can really do. So I just try to tend to focus on what is achievable for us. What can we do? I wouldn't be against it, but it depends on the price and stuff like that. Really, for me, the biggest part is how do they fit into the team? How do they fit into Premier League football? And what price? What is the risk assessment in the price that we're paying for the player? Because I think that's really important. That's what's really has hurt us over the past 12 plus years. I think that's our biggest problem. That has been our biggest problem. That has led to the dismantling of Manchester United being a good club. And Lion says, and the pressure playing for River Plate is immense in Argentina. Well, I know that. It's not a walk in the park there. So he should already be mentally ready for United. I mean, it's still sort of different. I know the intensity with the fans and sort of the atmosphere there. So I get that aspect, but everybody, no matter who it is, they always say, no matter where they really come from, when they come to United, they never really understand the sort of pressure that comes with it. I mean, because we're talked about globally on a world scale, and we're talked about by everybody. And there's just so many eyes and so much scrutiny. It's so different, and they always say that no matter who it really is. And they only really understand it once they join us and they become a part of it, and then they see it unfold in front of their eyes and they go, holy shit, this is actually kind of crazy. I mean, like, I knew they were a big club and they're global, but I didn't know it was like this to this level. And it's always like that. So chat. We are blaming Rasmus for no reason. Yeah, again, I understand that he's not playing well. And he's had a very bad season. But I think there's too many fans out there that are doing the same thing that they always do. And I think they jump from one person to one person to one person, whether it's the manager or it's this player or it's that player or it's this player. I think they run around and they find one person to sort of pick on till they get removed from the club. Unfortunately for them, I think they do end up believing very much so that removing that player will change the entire course of Manchester United's trajectory. And then when it doesn't happen, they have to go and find somebody else because that player is no longer there, and they weren't necessarily right, because it's not a one person, one player issue. And it's just a dynamic of the squad. It's a squad dynamic issue. So again, I think right now there's tons of people targeting Rasmus because they believe, well, if Rasmus is sold, our problems will be solved, because that means we're going to get a newer striker, and that means we'll score more goals. There's no guarantee in any of that. What Manchester United can do, regardless of selling Rasmus, is they can still go get another striker. They don't need to sell Rasmus to get another striker. They should have already gotten another striker, and he should be a top quality striker like they were supposed to, and they never did. So you guys are going crazy in here. United needs to do more deals in South America. I say go for it. I mean, they should, and I think there's deals to be made out there, and I think that's where you can get some of these cheaper deals. Brighton have done quite numerous amounts of them. They've been very cheap, and they've been very successful with it, and the risk management on those are very low. I think one or two of the players that they signed was for like 5 million, 7.5 million, next to nothing. They play one season at Brighton, and all of a sudden they're selling them for 60 million. So I think we should sort of be looking to sort of do that as well. Lumen says, I first did bet in 2002. I think I put $500 on West Ham. They won 3-2. Canio scored and got $3,000. That must have been nerve-wracking too, though. 3-2 game. I think was that the Canio? Was that the famous goal he scored in that match? Steph says South American steel works well in Premier League. What did Cheeto do? So what's Rasmus' fault? No, what I'm saying is, wait, what? No, I'm confused. Cheeto didn't do anything yesterday, and I'm not like celebrating that he didn't do anything, because obviously I want Cheeto to do good. But I think it was a good aspect because everybody was crying for Cheeto to play, because they say Rasmus is so shit that they think that Cheeto can go in there and do things that Rasmus can't do. Meanwhile, Cheeto is a young player and he's less experienced than Rasmus, and Rasmus is already struggling. And they think Cheeto was going to walk in there, score 2 goals, and become, 19-year-old Mbappe score 2 goals by himself, go on a tear. And everybody's gonna be like, look, see, Rasmus really is, it's all his fault. Look at Cheeto. Cheeto's way better than him. And Cheeto did nothing because we have an issue playing to the striker. We've had an issue playing to the striker for years. Whether it was under Ten Hag or before him as well, and it's carried over into Ruben Amorim, and we need to sort that out. Because whether you have a good striker or not a so good striker, I think, you know, you'll say Rasmus isn't on the same level as Osimhen or Gyökeres, and that's true. But I think Rasmus should be scoring more goals, and he should be scoring more goals. The only way is he needs to get more opportunities, and I don't think he gets enough opportunities in a lot of matches. We are blaming Rasmus for no reason. Yeah, I don't think it's necessary for no reason. I think he does have to do better in a lot of parts of his game. But to just say that, to just put it black and white and say Rasmus is shit, sell him, and then everything will be fixed, I just think that that's kind of ridiculous. So, Lion says, I don't understand why people diss the South American leagues in games, particularly in Premier Division, are actually at a high level. Maybe because it's not commercialized enough, so it just sort of seems like it's not a high level. I mean, I don't know where they rank as a league, but obviously the top 5 leagues are you know, England, France, Spain, Germany, and Italy, and that's really all people are usually concerned about and really look at. Everything else is sort of just like, yeah, whatever. It's sort of mid level. I mean, you know, I don't know. Where would you rank South American League? Like, where would you rank the Argentinian League? Is it better than the Dutch League? Is it better than Belgium? Is it better than, you know, I don't know. I think it's better than MLS, but I don't know. I don't watch it. So, Shiro says Franco Mastantuono would be a perfect fit at United. He's another Bruno. Well, I mean, I hope you guys are right. You know, I don't know. I can't tell you. When I know things, I tell you, and you know, I'm confident about it. And I can give you my 2 cents. I don't know nothing about the kid. I watched a couple clips. It's good. I don't trust clips because I can make Onana look like, you know, prime Van de Sar and Peter Schmeichel combined into one goalkeeper. You know, I can make I can make, you know, Anthony's time at Manchester United look amazing. You know, so I see that he does have talent and he has some skill. I just don't know at to what scale and how that translates to coming to us, and playing in the Premier League and that sort of stuff. So, I mean, if we get him, I'll be excited to see what he's going to give us and how it's going to go. And I'll be looking forward to that. But that's other than that, that's all I can really go for. But shout out to all the new people that are getting involved in the chat as well. Good to hear from you guys, so we appreciate you. Rajat says, will you let Højlund go to Timbuktu FC? Why will they do 30 to 45 million deal when they couldn't get Alvarez off River Plate, whose price was about 10 or 15 million? Well, he has a buyout clause, so if people want him, they just tell you pay the buyout clause. Or they or listen, it might not be the buyout clause specifically for that reason either. They could just be holding it as a negotiation tool. But in this specific situation, since there is a buyout clause, if you have teams like United, Real Madrid, PSG, and whoever else wants to jump in, all trying to get him, well, the easiest route for a club to get him is bypass negotiations, pay the release clause, and then go straight to negotiations with the player and get the deal done as soon as possible. So it depends how significant the interest really is, like how strong are the feeling. Like if PSG and United are super serious and they're going to go battle it out, you know, there might be indications, well, maybe he leans more towards PSG. Well, if PSG dilly-dally and they try to negotiate the price and United go, no, we absolutely want you, and we pay it, and then we go straight into negotiations, we might be able to sway him to come to us instead of them. So You know, it makes a difference sometimes. I'm just saying, if Mastantuono comes to United, there's a great chance he'll become my new Shaw. Well, I hope that means without injuries though. um Lyle says physically Cheeto is not ready for the Premier League. He has a big frame and he was bullying the kids, but now he is playing against them. But now he's playing against men, so he is being bullied. He has a long way to go. Of course he does. Of course he does. And this is why I always say that you can't just throw the kids to throw the kids. And Ruben, you know, Ruben yesterday, he put them in a rotated squad, and obviously it was a hard match for them, and I don't think any person in the right mind is blaming them for struggling. They shouldn't be, but you know he said about 1 to 2 weeks ago, he said that this isn't the greatest moment to be playing these kids because it's not a great platform, but he said we might have to do so. And clearly, obviously, we had to do so because we had to rotate the squad. We're trying to minimize injuries. We have a run-in for the Europa League, and we need to get there. So, I think there's a plan for them to be more integrated into next season, and I think there's a plan for them to come up. One thing that I do find strange that Wayne Rooney did mention, though, and maybe this is a change that's going to come at the end of the season, because I was kind of thinking about it. Wayne Rooney did point out and say, he was speaking either today or yesterday, Rooney pointed out saying that he finds it strange that Amorim hasn't instructed the youth teams to play in a 3-5-2, so that the youths get used to that sort of system, so that when he can call them up, they are used to the system in the first team. They're still playing 4-2-3-1s in the youth setup. And I agree, it's a bit strange, and I agree that they probably should change it. But my mind went directly to, I think he didn't change it yet because the youth teams are actually doing quite well, or they're doing very well, and to go in there and change that, I mean, he knows it's going to be an issue. He knew what was going to happen to our first team, and I don't think it would have been smart to also change the youth teams in the middle of the season when they're actually performing quite well already in the way that they're doing. And also they're youngsters, and sometimes it's actually even harder for them to adapt than it is for first team players and more experienced players. So I think I would look to see if that change comes at the end of the season and start, for the new season, that they change into these 3-5-2 systems and play the same way as the first team. I just think that they decided not to do it because I think it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, if they're performing and they're excelling the way they are, you don't want to kind of disrupt that. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Our first team was already broke, so, try and fix it anyway. But the youth teams are performing very, very well. So there's no reason to... There's no reason to sort of change that aspect. Why would you disrupt that? Why would you disrupt that? Premier Division is very similar to the series in the 90s, but that's just my observation. Well, I mean, I'm going to have to trust you. Lancer Evo says, at the age of 22, Cristiano Ronaldo had scored a total of 62 goals. How about the GOAT at 22? I mean, nobody calls him the GOAT. I don't know why you keep calling him that. There's literally not one person in our entire fan base that has ever called him a GOAT. So I don't get why you do that. And yeah, nobody anywhere, not even Gyökeres, literally nobody on the face of the planet besides Lionel Messi, and maybe Lamine Yamal, is going to have anything scored compared to Cristiano Ronaldo at the age of 22. So, I mean, I don't get the point you're really trying to make. You're comparing Ronaldo to Højlund. Nobody's comparing Rasmus to Højlund. Nobody in the world compared Rasmus to Højlund ever. So, anyway, different eras, says Lyle. Ronaldo is one of those footballing anomalies that worked. Nemanya's back. Vidic. We love you, Vidic. I love you. I miss you, Vidic. I miss you. I wish we had you in the team, man. You were one of my favorite players of all time. Of all time. I miss the Warrior. I miss you beating the crap out of players on the other on the opponent. I wish we had. Can we get your son, Nemanja? Can we get your son to United? Can we get like Vidic Jr. in there? And get him in the team. We need it, man. We need it. Vidic says, if we sell Bruno, then I need 150 million minimum if he's going to Saudi. Wow. Big statement. Well, we're going to get to that in a second, but conversation's been quite good, so I wanted to keep it rolling before we switch gears a little bit. Look at me lifting the title. That's right. You're here. You are here. That's right. See? I mean, those were the glory days. Those were the glory days. I mean, we miss it. We miss it, Vidic. I know you miss it too. I know you miss it too. No one has ever been calling Hoyland the coach. This is what I'm trying to say. So, I don't know. He clearly hates Rasmus Hoyland at all costs. So, it is what it is on that part. No change in his mind on any aspect. Chad says, if we're not winning the Prem in the next 3 years, sell Bruno for the money. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, but how do you make that? How do you make that decision though? How do you know if we do win it or not? I don't know. And I mean, you could have, I guess, sort of a guess or an indication or whatever, or you could have a belief, but I don't know where we'll be necessarily in 3 years. We could be relegated, or we could win the league. I don't know. 3 years is sort of a lot of time. A lot of things can change in 3 years. Ruben might not even be here, or he'll still be here. I don't know. Or maybe the world gets shut down again. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen, knock on wood. But, I'm just saying. I have my own personal answer to it, and I'll tell you, and I'll explain why. So, do you think we gonna win the league before Bruno is 33? Well, I mean, he's about to be 31, so that really only gives him 2 years. I think in 3 years, if we do everything we're supposed to do, Chad, and we do things in a proper way, and we recruit well, but then also the coaching side goes well, and, the team learns how to actually play the system and plays proper football, I think I mean, in 3 years, we should be there. We should be in and around there. Now, if we get over the line, I think it'll be a different story, because that's always that extra step. But I feel like if we do the proper processes as a football club, and we actually go in the right direction, 3 years you can get there. You should be in and around that conversation. But I was being sarcastic on Hoyland, the real GOAT. Well, okay, that's fine, Lancer. It's hard to tell because you're typing, so I can't. I don't know. It's hard to tell if you're being sarcastic or you're being serious. So if you're being sarcastic, we take your word for it. It's fine. But kind of let us know. Why Eric got blacked out. I got blacked out. Who got blacked out? Respect Hoyland, says Vidic. Henderson just saved the shot from Malenga. Moment made it carry. What's the score, by the way? Is it still 0-0? Let's switch gears real quick. We have a small update on Cunha. We got a couple more updates, and then we'll talk about Bruno, because this isn't supposed to be that long of a stream anyway. But Steph says we got 12 likes. Yes, please smash the like button if you haven't, because it helps with the algorithm, and it helps the channel get more views. Score is still 0-0. All right. Small update, not any details really, but Fabrizio just saying that as far as he knows, the main target remains Cunha. For Mbuemo, there will be many clubs involved, so it's an open race. So I think obviously Cunha is clear cut for us, and it seems like the one that's probably going to be done first and the quickest. There's been mention about Mbuemo. Obviously, he played against us the other day. I think he's a good player. But I think it's going to be more open, and it's less sort of it's sort of less concrete. Chad says the odds aren't good on us winning in the next 3 years. Anything can happen, but what is most likely? most likely. I mean, considering our history, we won't win the Premier League because tend things to not things tend to not go so well. The only difference is that we sort of have. I mean, we still have the Glazers, so it kind of dampens, I guess, the chances more so than if it was like 100% total brand new sort of owners and hierarchy. But the fact that we have different sort of people than in the past 12 years in charge of at least the football aspect, it's sort of a bit unknown, because we've changed the direction for sure. I don't know how we don't know how it's necessarily going to go. Could be bad, could be very bad, could be good, could be slightly better than what we've done, but not good enough, or it could be excellent. So it's hard to gauge, really. It's hard to gauge. I mean, you can have sort of a feeling and say, yeah, I don't think we're going to do it. It doesn't seem like it. I get that. But to really pinpoint and say, it's definitely not going to happen. I mean, some people are convicted in their laurels, and that's fine. But again, nobody knows what the future really holds. So, I mean, you can feel like that and you can believe that, and that's fine, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to happen. So, as United fans, we would love to lift the trophy, but for now, if we're competing at least, then, I mean, we got to take steps. We got to take steps, right? We listen, next season must be an improvement no matter what, and we have to be a much better team no matter what. Ineos can't afford it. Ruben can't afford it. Manchester United as a club can't afford it to not perform well and be good. So, next season is actually a huge season. This summer window is actually a huge and probably one of our most important seasons, because I think if the summer window isn't good and we have a mediocre or very shit season, I think the situation at Manchester United becomes even more dire than in recent times. Before, it used to be like, because we have to make sure to get Champions League, but we're sort of falling more and more behind, and we're struggling more and more. And if we let this sort of become a norm where we can't even compete against top, and be involved in the top six, and the norm is that like we're struggling and we're finishing, eighth or lower, the whole thing kind of just changes. So, and Chad says our rivals are getting stronger, not weaker. Exactly. That's why we need to need to be on the money this summer. There's very, 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 little room for error. Like, there usually is little room for error, but there's even smaller room for error coming up. So Vidic says, do you think we'll get top six next season with the players well, I think it depends sort of what kind of window we have, and what kind of players we get in, and I guess maybe what kind of players we get rid of. I feel like from a performance standpoint, though, at the very least, we should be able, I feel still sort of confident that with Ruben getting a proper preseason, and maybe getting some new players and adding a new sort of perspective to the team, and being able to sort of change the dynamic and getting more and the proper training time in that preseason period. Because if you utilize the preseason properly and as good as you can, it is quite beneficial. But you also have to get the planning for the preseason correctly. I mean, the whole thing going to America and these other parts of the country where we're kind of going to be running around isn't ideal for the manager. I mean, if Ruben Amorim had his choice, we literally would just probably stay in the UK and just do training, and not do this sort of tour of the world as a preseason. So it obviously makes his job harder in that aspect, but other teams do it, and other teams use the preseason properly. And I think for me, the biggest thing is that he needs to get that correct, and we need to start the season strong. And I think that will kind of decide how our season is really going to go. I think if we start the season and we're very poor, like we've done in the past sort of 2 seasons, where we only won like 2 out of the first 5 matches or something like that, I think we're going to be playing catch up, the whole season. And we can't be doing that. And we do it on the pitch as well. We need to stop playing catch up everywhere. And we need to start kind of putting ourselves in front of other teams so that we can be in a position of strength, which we haven't really been in quite a long time. Lion says, why can't we do a Leicester next year, finish 15th this year, and then win the thing next year? I mean, you could always do it, I guess, but it's just very unlikely. I think the chances of that is like less than 1% because it's sort of a unicorn thing. I mean, again, I think anything is possible. It's just not really likely, right? It's just not really likely. So, Chad says, I'm saying that's why we can sell Bruno, get money, and buy younger quality with more legs. Bruno's legs. Well, I'll tell you why. We want to see Bruno winning Premier League title, minimum holding one. Chad says, I don't care who lifts the trophy. Henderson was a lane captain, but he lifted a few trophies. Yeah, I mean, listen, I would say this. For fantasy reasons or whatever you want to call it, I would like Bruno Fernandes to lift the trophy, but I do agree with Chad. It's not really about what player lifts the trophy. It's about the team. It's about the club getting the trophy and lifting the trophy. So yeah, it's not about the player. I mean, it's a good, it's like having your cake and eat it too sort of thing. If Bruno gets to lift it, I mean, that's great. I feel like he's a hard worker and he's sort of been leading United in his performances since he's come here. And he's probably been our best in terms of value for money and return. He's been our best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. So, I feel like that would be nice to see him, but it's not unnecessary. It's not unnecessary. Ray says, hey, everyone, for me, as soon as the market opened, we need to get players in the first week. We're gonna to drag it out. We didn't change. Well, I mean, they're already working on some deals, right? So I think and this transfer window is it should be different. It should be different because there's not these European there's no UEFA competitions, there's no Euros, there's no World Cup. So the market should be moving faster. We have to see what happens with the money aspect. Obviously, we have some players that we need to sell, which is going to help us. And also, let's see what happens with the Europa League. If we win Europa League, we'll have more money in our hand. Again, remember, we stand to get an extra 70 to 100 million just by winning the Europa League and being involved in the Champions League. They said that United winning the Europa League, obviously you get money from the Europa League, and we've already gotten a little bit of money from the Europa League. We get some extra money, but being in the Champions League, just by competing in the Champions League next season, if we went and we played all eight matches and we lost all of them, we still make like 70 million just from being in there. So, not even winning the matches. Obviously, you get extra money for winning the matches and progressing to the next round. So it's important. That's why we actually really need this, because I think it'll have a big impact on the transfer window. But yeah, I mean, they do need to move faster. I think we're already sort of moving faster. The fact that there's already kind of working on these deals and looking at deals, and it's the beginning of May, and this started at the end of April. We haven't really done this. Usually we start doing negotiations late June, and it drags out. So, Lyle says a lot needs to happen for us to win in that. I mean, listen, we need to stop talking about it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in any way. We are far away, and the project and the proper process is 3 years for any team. For any team, proper process if we get a miracle, we get a miracle. But realistically, 3 years minimum. It could take longer. I mean, Arsenal still haven't achieved it, and Arteta's been here for 6 years. So they seem to slightly be getting closer and closer, but they haven't done it. So, minimum to get you at least in the conversation and be a strong candidate, minimum 3-year project. And that's if you do the proper things and you get things correct, and you do good recruitment and you have the right people at the club, coaching staff and coaches and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that need to go right, and there's a lot of work that we need to do. We're far away from it at the current moment. And we have a lot of progress that we need to make. Lyle said, you have so many teams competing, but we need to be on levels higher than so many other teams, not just the Big Six. Well, the first step is to get to the Big Six, and sort of be back in that conversation. We should be, like right now, sort of the top 5 places. I mean, there's a big race for it. We need to be involved in that at the very least. It's one thing to get there, but I mean, when you look at the past 2 seasons, last season and this season, and obviously this season is the worst season ever, our step is to go away from these past 2 seasons and go back to being what we were prior to that, and actually being involved and competing in sort of that competition. So, our best signing is debatable. Well, you tell me for the price of the money that we paid and for the impact that they had at Manchester United and the longevity, the amount of time, you tell me who would be our best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. Because for me, the money that we paid for Bruno and the money that the amount of goals and assists and impact he's had for us, I believe he's been our best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. I think, and now I'll be fair, I don't think the bar is that high, because 75 to maybe 80% of our signings have been horrible shit signings for bad fees, and incorrect player identification for our squad. So I don't think the bar is like exceptionally high, but I would say for me, I think he's probably the best one for the amount of money we signed him and what the impact he's had. That's what I believe. That's how I feel about it. RSV says, playing Bruno Fernandes deeper in midfield as number 8 or even number 6 can work against low blocks, but struggles against more aggressive or traditional transitional setups due to his strengths. Bruno can defend, tackle, has a vision for a pass, can attack, take penalties and free kicks, can run for days, and scores and sets up goals. So what is a complete midfielder, Chad? I think they're talking about more of like a traditional sort of midfielder, where he compared him to sort of Modric, or whatever. And I don't think that's really, I think he's just a different type of midfielder, elite midfielder. It depends what you like and what you want, because there's different midfielders that play the games differently. So it depends what you identify. Really, I mean, if you want more of a, later stages Paul Scholes type of player, or maybe like a Xavi or an Iniesta, I mean, they obviously played the game differently than how Bruno plays the game. So it's different. Bruno can't defend that good. Don't lie. I mean, he's not like, he's not an exceptional defender. I think he tries his best. I wouldn't, I would say Ugarte is obviously like a better defender than Bruno. I mean, like, I think that's Ugarte's specialty. I don't think that's Bruno's necessarily specialty. I think he does good to sort of get back in position, and he gets beaten sometimes. It's not his area of expertise really, but I think he's all right. I think he's decent in it at times. Sometimes, not so much. But again, I don't think that's really where you would say he excels. RSV says he lacks composure, which I do agree with, and ball retention ability under pressure. That deep midfielders need against pressing teams. I do think he does lack composure. I think that's probably his big in certain in certain situations. I believe he lacks composure. I think he loses his head a little bit too much, and that's why he takes these ridiculous shots, and maybe he does those Hollywood passes and stuff like that. I think he gets I've said this before, I think he gets frustrated quite too quickly, and that's a lack of composure. Because if you have a high composure, you should be able to stay calm no matter what the situation is on the pitch. Okay, your team is playing like shit. We're not creating chances. Maybe we've had one shot the whole match. You got to keep the composure. Don't start doing silly things, trying to force things. He does that. He does do that. So I agree with that, for sure. Lancer Evo says, part of the problem lies in a lack of targets inside the penalty area, with Højlund and Xerxes having a combined total of less than 100 touches inside the opposition box this season. Yeah, I don't think we do a great job of finding our players in the box. I think it's probably a couple things, Lancer. I think one, it's the positioning of our players that go in the box. I think they need to position themselves better. But also, obviously, we know quite well that sometimes we're too selfish in not providing passes when the opportunities are there. And then also, when we do try to provide passes and opportunities to find our players that are in the box, sometimes they're just not very good. They either get blocked or they're poor passes. And that aspect altogether needs to be fixed, because that sort of thing is, that's why the whole sort of front is misfiring across the board. It isn't gelled well. It isn't clicking well. It needs to be sorted. Bruno has the second most interceptions for a midfielder in the league. No, I don't know. Does he? Let me know. I don't know. I'm not a big stats guy. I'm not. So, Chad says Bruno is good at playing counterattack and can be a liability on the other side of the field. Rajat says he averages 2.9 tackles per 90 minutes. Think that is pretty good for someone who is used to playing 10 and an 8. I think probably it could be for somebody in that position. That's what I'm kind of saying. Like, it's not his specialty. I think he's decent for what he is as a 10 or an 8 to sort of do that. I don't know where that ranks. It could be fairly low for all I know. I really don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's not his, that's his whole thing. Chad says more minutes equals more chances to improve numbers. Yes, but also more minutes equals more chances to destroy your numbers as well. I think you can. I think you can say that either way. I mean, if he's not good and he doesn't have a good impact, then the numbers will be way worse. So yeah, you get more minutes, you get more chances to improve. But I mean, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then obviously the numbers will improve because you're doing good. If you're bad and you suck, the more you play, the worse the stats will be. So, I think it goes either way. But real quick, since we're talking about Bruno, I'm just gonna go through three things. So United return of the Champions League football would increase United's players' salaries by 25%, which I think some people will probably start screaming at the roof and saying that they, whatever, they don't want it or they don't get it. I mean, it's pretty standard. It's built into their contracts. So, it makes sense. You're helping the team get back into the highest competition of European football. Obviously, their salaries are going to go back up. I mean, I don't really have a problem necessarily with it. I don't think it's really that big of an issue. Maybe some people, will scream to the heavens about it. Yeah, 25%. Because they're so let's explain this. Their salaries have gone down by this amount because we're not in the Champions League. So when we got out of the Champions League, everybody that has this in their contracts, their salaries actually went down because we're not in it. So when we go back in it, it goes back up to regular standard of what we had. So Vidic says, bloody hell, 25%. Did they not give you that when you were at the club, Vidic? Did you not have 25% in your contract? Because I think that's atrocious. We should have gave you 35% for the job you did for us. But tagged on to that is that Casemiro's salary would rise back up to $300,000 a week, which is what I'm trying to say. So actually, while we've been saying that Casemiro is getting $350,000 a week, because that's what is supposed to be in his contract, he's actually technically at this moment he's not actually getting that because we're not in the Champions League. So it's actually lower. I mean, it's only 25% lower, so it's 275,000 or whatever. But yeah, and then it says his future at Manchester United could be decided by the club's possible triumph in the Europa League, which I don't really know what that means. I don't know if they're saying like if we are in the Champions League, they'll keep him, and if we don't get in the Champions League, we're gonna try and sell him, or vice versa. I don't really know how that goes. I mean, I don't disagree, Ray, that it should be, should be done 75% for 17th place. But, I mean, the fact that United have never really ever gone this low in like over, I don't even know how many years it's been. It was almost like nonsense for them to kind of put that in the contracts. Although maybe they should start thinking of doing that and putting it, I would put it lower than 10th place for all new signings coming in, and any contracts we worked in. I think there should be something in there that if you get us, if we finish lower than 10th place, or 10th place or lower, you lose a certain percentage of your wage. But a lot of these players, I mean, we were never really near any of this. I mean, the lowest that we finished before was 8th. Before that, we were like, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and, switching up and down. So it wasn't ever really a necessity to kind of have that, because it was almost like, how do you finish that low? Which, by the way, I believe we're 15th. We're not 17th, but yeah, I mean, going forward though, I would set a standard that if the club finishes below 10th or below, they should lose a certain percentage of their wage, 100%, just to protect the club anyway. Not that I think this will happen again. I don't think this will happen again. I don't expect next season to be anywhere close to this, like this. I think the situations will be much different. I think circumstances will improve. How much will it improve? Nobody knows. But I don't think, I will say this fairly confidently. I don't think we'll finish below 8th place next season. I don't think we'll finish below 8th place. I don't think that's going to happen at all. So, Lyle says, no wonder he's been playing well. It's almost like incentive-based contracts motivates players to be better. What a strange concept. I know, right? Like, that is the strangest thing I've ever heard of. I mean, who would think that merit-based goals with incentives to perform better, which means that you get paid more for doing a good job? Who figures that works in the world? That's kind of crazy. So, yeah, Chad says, I wish I had only good things to say about Bruno and could back him, but I grew up with players that had the ability and more, but due to circumstances, they fell through the cracks. Standards of, well, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's your personal, dictation. I would just say that, again, it's your football, it's your idea of football, and it's what you would want in your team under the football you would like to see to play, and that's fine. Where I disagree, the point that I disagree with is that when they say that he is the biggest problem, I disagree with that totally. You don't have to necessarily be a fan and like him, and you can critique his game and criticize him. I don't think anybody tells you not to do that. I just disagree when people say that he is the number one biggest issue. I don't believe that at all, because I think he actually does more good than harm at the team, in this current team, at this current time. So, but I mean, there's one little update, and then we'll get to Bruno. So Adam Lawrence, U18's manager, could leave United as his future is uncertain. Sources have said he has not made a final decision and could stay in Manchester United, but there has been an admission that he is looking for a new challenge and is more likely to leave the club. You know, this is just more update for the people that care about the U teams and stuff. It has nothing to do with the cuts or anything like that. This is like his own personal sort of decision. You know, he's not being... It has nothing to do with the redundancies that your gym has made or anything like that. This is just has to do with him deciding if he wants to continue on as under 18's manager at Manchester United, or maybe he's looking to become maybe an assistant coach or something, and maybe he wants to be you know, or maybe he wants to be a first team manager for a team. So I mean, we'll see. There's things are always changing at Manchester United, and it's quite interesting. So Rajat says only above 8th will be acceptable. Well, I don't think we'll have this season. I think this season there's just been too many changes, too many crazy factors, and it's just been a mess. And I think I expect next season to go well, definitely more smoother than this season, not without its problems, you know, and bumps in the road. But yeah, I can't see this happening again. No way. No way. But let's get to Bruno, since we're talking about Bruno. So biggest update that we got is and maybe we got some more while we went live, so I'm going to check for that. But Bruno Fernandes' agent and lawyer met with management of Al Hilal today. They want to sign him before the Club World Cup starts on June 14th. And then we got the update saying that Al Hilal have made an official offer for Bruno Fernandes. Now, I mean, the sources, not 100% sold on them. Could be a thing of like yesterday that happened with Campos, because these sources seem to be very fringe, and it could be somebody's, you know, nephew's uncle's cousin's brother putting this out. I've never heard of them, don't know who they are. Our aggregators are the one that are putting this out. So I'm going to wait to see how concrete it is coming from the likes of people like Ben Jacobs, Fabrizio, etc., who didn't say anything on the matter when we went live. So I'm still waiting to see if we get sort of that update. I have my 2 cents on this. Before I give it, guys, please smash the like button. It helps us out a lot. We want to run those likes up, and we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. So if you want to help us out and get involved in the live chat, if you have an opinion on this, it doesn't matter if you're new, old, whatever, you have a say. So get involved. But obviously, we put a poll here, and I put 3 options because I think there's 3 options, really, realistically. And I asked the community, would you sell Bruno Fernandes? And so far, right now, and it can still change because I'm going to leave it open, but 27% of you said you would sell Bruno, 45% of you said just dead no, and 27% of you split it, so I guess you could kind of put it with the yes in a way, for 70 to 100 million only, meaning that, you know, if they give us that sort of money, you would sell him for that money, but if it's lower than that, you wouldn't sell him. And it has to be for sort of that significant price. The rest of you would just sell him, I guess, you know, regardless of, you know, if they offered us 60 or they offered us 50, you'd sell him. And this is where I sort of stand at the moment with this. Bruno Fernandes, as much as I like him, and as much as I think he's been, I think he's been our best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson. And I think he's an important player, and I think he's a good player for Manchester United. And I think without Bruno currently at this time, without any sort of transfer window or anything like that, there is nobody in the team that can match the output he does in terms of goals, assists, and chances created on the pitch. Also, availability wise. But with Bruno about to be 31 years old, if Al Hilal are giving us 80 million, 90 million, 100 million, I would probably most likely sell him because it's the correct footballing decision to do. It's the correct footballing decision to do for the club. I believe wholeheartedly. I think it's very good money. We're making a profit on the player. And while I like him very, very much, that money, 80 to 100 million, is a lot of money. And we need to create an actual squad and a well-rounded squad. And I think if they offer us 80 million, I would accept it. I would accept this. I think, again, there's no player FC for me. There's not anybody that's really necessarily safe. I love Bruno, but 31-year-old player at 80 million when we're looking to rebuild and do what we need to do, that's a massive amount of money. That is the likes of what Liverpool did with Firmino, right? And while I think he's a good player and he could probably go to 33 or 34 and still provide for us, I think 80 million plus for Bruno Fernandes at the age of 31 years old after being at the club for about 5-6 years, I think as a football decision, the correct football decision would be to take that money and sell him and reinvest it into Manchester United, into the squad. Lion says never for 70 million. Well, listen, I mean, I think at 31, I think for 80 million, I think it's a good price. If you could get more, that's great. I think for me, I would accept 80. I would say at 80, we go from there and see, or well, really, I would tell them, I would tell them 100, and I would go as low as 80. Obviously, go high first. But yeah, I mean, this is interesting. I mean, Ruben Amorim already once said that Bruno Fernandes is going nowhere, because he was linked to Real Madrid or something like that. I think it'll be interesting to see, I mean, if this is real and the bid is actually official, and it depends. Here's the thing that's bothering me about this. They've supposedly made an official bid, but nobody's been told what the price is. And usually we would know what the price is, like of the bid. How much have they bid? And at the time that I went live, there was no price tag associated with this. So it could just be a bunch of bullshit, like sort of Campos was yesterday. So, we got to keep that in mind. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it is real and they offer us 80, 90, or 100 million. I think it's something that it's going to be interesting to see what Manchester United kind of think about it, because I think they're going to have discussions about it for sure. There's going to have to be a group discussion, and it's going to involve Ruben, and it'll involve Jason Wilcox, and it'll involve Vivell, and it'll involve Barada, and they're going to have to come to some sort of a consensus on if they accept it or not. I think Ruben probably wouldn't want to get rid of him because he's already made a strong statement saying that he's not going to go anywhere. But then I think it comes to the other three, and that's why it's important to have this hierarchy, because again, the managers will do decisions based on what they want, but sometimes it's not the best decision in terms of the football club, which is why we need people like Vivell and Wilcox and Barada to actually know what they're doing in terms of football and make the best decision for the football club. And I think the best decision for the football club would be to cash in. I know there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't cash in, and that's fine if you feel that strongly about it. I love Bruno Fernandes. I have a kit of Bruno Fernandes upstairs, but my main focus always will be and has always been and forever is the football club. And I just think getting 80 million plus for a player that's 31 years old that might not give you more than the next 2 years, because there's no guarantee, even though, you know, he is quite good with fitness wise. But I think to reinvest that and rebuild the squad properly, it could be our Firmino moment. It could be, you know, it feels sort of very like that. And if we're able to use those funds and use it properly, it could change Manchester United in ways that, you know, that could be quite significant. Rajat says Bruno more than 85 million pounds. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe you can make that argument. I think 85 million is actually a very fair and good price for both sides. I would obviously try and get more. Try and get more for him. But minimum I would accept is 85 million. Chad said, I'm saying things went worse for Pogba and United after they split, and we kept our hopes on Bruno because of his glamour stats. Well, you know, I didn't think Pogba was that great either. Lion says 100 million. One would have to think about it. I mean, obviously you have to think. You would. I feel like you know you would be totally, especially if you're in charge of the football club. I mean, fans, they get to sort of do whatever they want because, you know, some fans have super emotional attachments to players and stuff like that. So, and that's why, you know, maybe it's sort of kind of a good thing that if they're not necessarily in charge of the club, to a certain aspect. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you're in a position to accept or deny this, I mean, you certainly have to consider it no matter what. Otherwise, you're just totally incompetent. Chad says Bruno at Madrid is replacing Jude. Well, he's not going to Madrid, and the story wasn't real. So yeah. Do not think it's real reports. I mean, it could be fake. I'm gonna check in a second and see if we got anything out of it. Lancer Evo says Bruno Fernandes' current market value is estimated between 49.3 million and 60.3 million euros. Yeah. Can you tell me? Can somebody tell me how many years is left on his contract, please? Is it 4? We just gave him one last summer, no? At the end of last summer. So and it was a 5-year deal. It's 1-1 between Nottingham and Crystal Palace. 0-0 to 2-1-1. Yeah, I think they're gonna draw. I kind of expected them to draw before this. Let me check the internet to see if we got any updates. You know, while we went live, because there might have been some further developments. We're not allowed. Interestingly enough, I put out a post about for the live show, and I said somebody actually said to me he should reject it immediately. If he even considers moving, he deserves to play at a top club in a top league. I mean, he deserves. I kind of disagree with that statement. I mean, you know, what does that really mean? He deserves to play at a top club in a top league. He deserves to play wherever he wants to play. You know, maybe it's not ideal for you, but whatever Bruno Fernandes wants to do, is what Bruno Fernandes wants to do. You know, I don't really know. You know, I don't really know why people. Again, this is what I'm trying to say. See, certain people have like these very emotional attachments to players. You know, like I like Bruno, and if it's below my asking price, I'm not selling him, and I'll use him for the project. But at the same time, you know, I'm not Bruno's brother. I'm not his father. You know, I don't have an emotional attachment to Bruno and says he deserves. You know, I find it weird to say he deserves to play at a top club in the top league. No, like Bruno Fernandes is Bruno Fernandes. If Bruno wants to go to Saudi and play in Saudi, then he goes to Saudi and plays in Saudi, and that's what he wants, and that's what he gets to do. I'm not gonna stake a claim in the ground and say Bruno should absolutely not be going to Saudi Arabia. It's a disgrace, bro. If he wants to go to Saudi Arabia, then he goes to Saudi Arabia. If he wants to go to fucking Portugal, then go to Portugal. I don't really care. If he wants to stay at United, then stay at United, I guess. It's up to him, really. I'm not gonna get my I'm not getting my boxers in a twist because I feel like this guy should be somewhere, it's completely up to him. But let me see these updates, if we got any. I don't know if we did. Apparently, there's a major update about Marcus Rashford transfer. So we'll read that in a second. Let me see if I find anything else. I find it quite interesting, and I don't really know if I necessarily believe this story, to be quite honest, because the information is quite vague, and it's been sort of very quiet. And I feel like if this was actually real, and concrete, and this is coming from like Al Hilal. Well, who is this? So this news is coming from Saudi Arabia, which is the thing. I can't read this because it's I translate the bio. Here we go. So one of the pieces that's putting out news is they're a news and interactive platform for up to the minute coverage of Al Hilal news. They have 3.2 million followers, and I guess they have association with the club, considering it's Saudi and everything kind of runs together. So maybe it's taken a little bit more serious, but I haven't. I find it a bit strange that nobody from the English side, or at least the very least, like Fabrizio or something, has put out any sort of update. Maybe they're trying to figure it out and verify it. But there was a small update to this story, which followed up from the Al Hilal source itself, saying Bruno Fernandes and his agent were given a 1-week deadline to respond to the club's offer for him. And this is because I guess they want to get him in before the Club World Cup, which they're going to be involved in. Again, very vague, like, not vague, but very just not very detailed. It's just very basic, small updates. I mean, they tell you that an official offer has been made. No price mentioned. No extra details tagged onto it. And then you get this small little update about him and his agent were given a week deadline to respond to the club's offer for him. So I guess really maybe it starts with Bruno. And what he wants. I mean, if he wants to stay United, I guess it'll sort of not really go anywhere. But I don't really know, how do you move about this? Because even if you are, if you are United, and you want to accept it, do you then call Bruno Fernandes in for a meeting and talk to him about it? And kind of tell him, we want to actually accept this offer, and sort of work that out with him. But if he's not willing to go, I mean, there's not much we can really do at that point. But if United, I mean, he always kind of made that statement as well, that he said, if United want me, I'll stay. So if that's true in his opinion, like in what he says, then I guess if United sort of tell him that we're interested in selling you, then maybe he's willing to go. I don't know. There is this story about Villa and Marcus Rashford. Headline is Aston Villa receive major Marcus Rashford transfer blow as European giant enters the race for Manchester United outcast. Saying, let's see if I can get to the brunt of the story. As we all know, as part of the loan deal, United handed Villa the chance to purchase their forward permanently for £40 million in the summer, although there looks to be some stiff competition. Apparently, Inter Milan have emerged as a possible destination for the 27-year-old, according to Spazio Inter, as Rashford is keen to play the Champions League. This could potentially apply even more pressure to Villa's push for the Champions League, as they currently sit 3 points off of fifth, whereas Inter's European spot is already confirmed. Inter's interest in Rashford is nothing new, as they reportedly attempted to land his signature in January before his move to Villa. With many suitors looking at the want-away Rashford in the summer, it looks likely that he will leave his boyhood club regardless of where he ends up. Well, that I already expect to happen. Yeah. So that is that update. There's a small update also as well about 2 under-21 players. That apparently they seem that they're going to be part of the squad for the Atletico game. Many people have noted that Bentito, Montanto, and Jadon Campson. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, Montanto and Jadon Campson were not involved in the club's U21's team defeated West Ham in a 4-1 win on Monday afternoon, which was obviously today. And that's because apparently they were told for them not to be played because Nathan Salt is the guy. Reports claims that Amorim sees the teenage duo as key in his preparations for the European semi-final second leg and will include them in his training group. Therefore, the decision was taken to neither player could be risked during the Monday afternoon tie at So, yeah. Interesting stuff. I don't think we've gotten anything else besides those 2 sorts of updates. So, yeah. Just double checking to make sure that we have everything. And, seems like it as of right now. That's all we got. So, Chad said Henry left Arsenal because they said the way he plays going through him too much. Bruno leaving could be the best for the team. I mean, it could be good. I would say the only concern that I've always ever had, and I've said it, just before slightly, but in a different way, is, if we do this sale and we get this amount of money, obviously, we have to redistribute it to the team, but we also then have to make sure that, we have to get somebody that's a good creator, or maybe we get a couple or something, or we get a couple players in the team that are better at creating and maybe in different positions. Because, I mean, he's a player that does create a lot, even though the play, all of it basically runs through him, and it's only one player. And I do agree that I like more of a broader team aspect. I don't really like solely playing through one person. I don't like the team to be a one-person team. I never agree with that philosophy. I think it's totally wrong. Obviously, teams always have like the catalyst, but the rest of the team needs to be pulling their weight. And I think United, and I don't think it's Bruno's fault. I just think it's United's fault because they're bad at recruitment. And I think Bruno is sort of the catalyst, and he's probably the only guy that can actually sort of provide. And everybody else seems to really lack in doing so. And therefore we sort of are kind of a one-man team, because I think without Bruno, and if Bruno doesn't play good, I feel like we struggle immensely to get anything going. And I don't like that aspect of our team. We need a team, not one-man team. One-man teams don't win you nothing. One-man teams don't get you anywhere. So I don't necessarily have him with problem with him being in the squad. My thing is that we need to get better players that can pull their weight and do their own thing. You know, especially like even if he's on the pitch and he's not performing well, we need players to have big impacts. And we don't necessarily have that everywhere. So Bruno's contract expires June 30th, 2027. In 2 years? So what was the contract extension we gave him? Oh, it is. All right. Oh, because we extend. All right. Bruno Fernandes signed a new contract that will extend his stay with Manchester United until 30th of June 2027 with an option for a further year. So we have an option for further. So realistically, it could go to 2028. So what? That's 2 to 3 years time. With that in mind, and him sort of being that age, I think if they listen, if it's real and they offer us 80 million plus, I think we should be cashing in, and we should be reinvesting it into the squad in a proper way. So yeah. You can't see a replacement for Bruno, yet there are clubs that are playing better football than us. So you saying all those clubs don't have better playmakers than Bruno and we can't replace him. We need a replace. Well, we certainly would need replacements. Whether it's again, I don't know if you say we do it in one player. I don't think it needs to be a like for like specifically. Replacement for Bruno Fernandes. In terms of that, you know, you get rid of Bruno and you bring in one player that's matching his output. Because again, I don't like the aspect of sort of a one player team. I think we need more players in more positions that could have bigger impacts. And I would use the money from Bruno to strengthen the team around in a lot of different areas and not just specifically just a direct replacement for Bruno to match the same output. Because I feel like if you do that, we just end up in the same situation anyway. So that there would actually be almost no point. I mean, if you could do it without spending a shit ton of money, then sure. But I feel like for you to get that right off the bat, I feel like you would be spending a ton of money. Like I feel like you would be spending basically the money you've gotten. You'd be spending most of it to get a player that could match the output. And I don't think that necessarily makes sense. So, Irfane, Kurdali says, I need a world-class number 9. Well, I agree with you on that. For sure. I think we should be getting a top-class experienced number 9. Again, for me, my number 1 target would be Victor Gyökeres, and I would go and get him as much as possible. I think he's probably the best one. Or Osimhen, and I don't really have targets after that because I think those two are on a certain level. I don't think there's anybody really else that's available that's sort of on that level. I think there's some options out there that are different, and they're not exactly the same. There's some prospects out there. I mean, there's still the option of maybe Sesko, but I don't put Sesko on the same level as Gyökeres or Osimhen. There's also I forgot his name, the kid from Frankfurt. The Frankfurt. You know, he's a kid and he's young. He looks like he's got some good talent, but I don't think he fits into the house or the category of Osimhen or Gyökeres. I think they are two different sorts of people. Irfane says Harry Kane. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be going getting Harry Kane, and at this point, because I think, um, I mean, yeah, we could use somebody like Harry Kane, but I think Harry Kane ship has sailed. Um, yeah, I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we'd be able to get him from Bayern. I don't think he's gonna leave Bayern. Um, so I don't think that's like a realistic option. I think the realistic options is either Osimhen or Gyökeres because they're available and they're looking to move. And I think we should be looking to kind of get them. Herfani says I need Qatar in. Well, maybe one day. Back again, maybe one day, Herfani. I think for right now we're pretty stuck to what we got at the time being. Yeah. Why will Qatar come now? The Ratcliffe got Man U. Well, they wouldn't come now. That's why I'm saying, it's not going to happen now. But I mean, maybe one day. I mean, like, well, there's a scenario that I think could play out. For example, like I know we're building the new stadium and stuff like that, but in about, I'm not saying in 5 years' time, but what I'm saying is like, if we get to a point where it's like 3, 4, 5 years of Ineos being here and being involved, and things are very, very bad. I know it is this season, but like I'm saying on a consistent level, like let's say like in the next 5 years, we don't get back into Champions League football at all. And we're not finishing inside, top four, top five, top six. And we sort of end up consistently as a mid-table club, and we're running out of money, and we're kind of just screwed. There could be an opportunity that arises there where you know maybe Ineos pull out, maybe they sell their half. I feel like they're possibly. I mean, I don't know how this necessarily works, but I will say that from a basic level, I feel like if Ineos get to a point where they're like, yeah, this has gone completely horrible, and this has been unsuccessful, and they're feeling the pressure and they're feeling the heat from the fan base, and they no longer, Sir Jim no longer wants to be involved with it and pulls out. Well, when he goes to sell his shares, which are actually the same shares the Glazers has, which actually has power. I don't know in sort of the deal they signed. I don't know how that necessarily works. Do those shares have to go back to the Glazers? Does that percentage, if Ineos decide to sell, can they sell it to anybody that they choose? Or do they have to sell it back to the Glazers because it's an agreement that they made where the Glazers have to the Glazers retain back those shares, or do the Glazers have the final say over who's taking those shares? Because the one thing that the Glazers did was protect themselves by not allowing anybody else to have the shares the Glazers have, so that they can keep and protect the power. Now we don't know the details of the deal that they've done, so because I think it makes it actually very interesting. Because let's say in 3 or 4 years, the project has been a disaster under Ineos. We've gone very backwards. Fans are, protesting them every single day and putting the heat on them like we've done to the Glazers. And Sir Jim goes, you know what, fuck this. It's not worth it anymore. I don't want to be part of this. This is I don't want to be here. If Ineos say we're putting up our 20 whatever percent for sale, if they can sell it to anybody, well, what stops Qatar from coming in and saying, here you go, take this money, we're taking this part, we're taking 27% of the club, we've got 1 foot in the door, now we got to deal with these stupid Glazes, they're going to ask for however much money they got, and then boom, all of a sudden, they take over 100% of the club. I think it's a scenario that can transpire. I don't know if it'll transpire, and I don't know if it'll necessarily work like that because again, I don't know. We don't know the details of the contract that they signed. You know, if Ineos were to sell it, where did the shares go? Do they have to go to the Glazes? Do the Glazes have deciding factor over who it goes to, even though it's Ineos shares and they paid for it? Common sense would tell you no, but business is sometimes weird. And business and you can sort of make a business deal and put anything into a contract. If it's signed, it's signed. So um, you know, it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting what could happen. You know, from there. So um Irfine says, "Is Man if Man United don't have money like Man City, only Qatar can match." Well, here's the thing. I disagree. I kind of sort of disagree with Manchester United. Do I see there's another update, so I'm gonna get to that in a second. Manchester United or Irfine, we technically do have money to compete with Man City because I mean, if you look at the amount of money we've spent and you look at the amount of money Manchester City have spent, we've spent exactly the same money. Um, but because we've spent it very poorly, we've put ourselves in a very bad position. And it's put us in a worse position. I think we can sort of get back to that if we kind of fix ourselves and operate in a better way. It's not the quickest way. It's not the easiest way, but you know, for the size of our club, we were very self-sufficient from the beginning anyway. We just, because of the Glazers and the people that they had as CEO, we damaged ourselves quite a lot. We shot ourselves in both feet when we didn't need to. So I don't know. Maybe we're in a position where now we, you know, maybe we can't necessarily come back to those levels. But I mean, we make a ton of money every season. Obviously, we need help on performances on the pitch, and maybe that's why we're too far away now, and we won't be able to necessarily get back there. But if we can, I mean, Manchester United make enough money to be self-sufficient to compete financially with basically any team. So yeah. Irfine says Glazers have to go. Only way Man United could come back. Well, there's a lot of people that feel that way, and maybe they are absolutely right. I kind of hope that maybe we, you know, I feel like they're not going to go anywhere for quite some time. So my hope is I hope that we can do something while they're here. And that's kind of why I hope Ineos works well, because I feel like it's really the only shot that we got with them sort of being here. So but obviously I would love for them to go because I think it would make everything easier and better for us. So Rajat says only upgrade is Musiala, words Frankie de Jong, and that's not happening. Don't want to see Bruno leave. Well, but this is what I'm saying. So you're saying like for like player, upgrade would be Musiala, words Frankie de Jong, one of those players. But those players are going to cost you about the same amount of money, if not more, as what we would get for Bruno Fernandes. So again, to me, that doesn't necessarily make sense. I think the opportunity would be to do what Liverpool did with Coutinho. I mean, they had Coutinho. Did they go out and spend all that money on a direct replacement for Coutinho? No. I mean, they got people in positions that were good for the balance of the squad. And it impacted the squad overall in a whole. So Kudus number 10. I would have liked Kudus. We should have got him from Ajax. I don't know why. You know, again, this is what makes me question the whole recruiting and sort of, you know, what we were doing and what we were thinking at Manchester United at that current point in time. Why did we go and spend 80 million on Anthony when fucking Kudus was there and he was available? He was cheaper and he was clearly the better player and clearly the better fit for Premier League. You know, you know, I mean, maybe we could take him from West Ham, but I don't even, you know, I don't even feel okay to do that because we're gonna overpay. I mean, not overpay, but like we could have just got him originally. He was there. He was there for the price, and now we're gonna have to pay extra because he's gone to West Ham and he's played in the Premier League and he plays for West Ham. I mean, again, Chad, I disagree with the fact that you say we're laying 15th. Is that putting the team on your back? I mean, he's not a superhero. Again, if the team isn't good enough and the team isn't performing, I don't give a shit, you know, what player you are. The team isn't going to move. I think he puts the team on his back for the level of what the team is. I think without Bruno and no sort of, like, if you just pick Bruno up and remove him from the squad right now and there's no money, let's just say Bruno gets injured and is out for a whole season and we're not getting any replacements, there's no money, right? I think this team would actually have gone into relegation without him. I think the team actually probably would have gotten relegated at this point without him. Like, if we started this season or like in October or November and Bruno got injured for the rest of the season and they tell you there's no replacement coming in any sort of way, I think we actually would have gotten relegated. So, you know, I mean, how far is he supposed to carry an entire squad? Again, this is why I'm saying, like, we can't have a one-person team. It can't be a one-man team. It's not supposed to be like that. That's why we're unsuccessful. We don't have a team. We don't have a team in any aspect. We don't have a very good team in any aspect. That's why we are where we are. We're laying at 15th because our team is shit. And one man it's not gonna pull us out of the depths of being shit. He could help and save us along the way, but you know, he's not gonna take us from 10th to 4th by himself. He's not gonna take us from 15th to 7th by himself. It's literally impossible. There's only two people on the planet that might be able to do that, and that's Ronaldo and Messi. And I mean, not anymore, but at one point, obviously. And they were, you know, they played in very good teams as well. I mean, they had people around them, and they were all in very good teams. It's not like they played in crap teams and were able to do it. Nobody can do that. You know, football is a team sport at the end of the day. One man can elevate you, but certainly one man can't do it all by himself. So, Man City have world class, not Man United. I mean, yeah. You're talking about world class players. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. We've done poor recruiting, Irfane. We've done very bad recruiting, so we got to fix it. We got to fix it. CR7, Rooney, Tevez, the best for me. I mean, they were one of the best attacking trio out there. So, we wouldn't go down. They won't even reach 30 points. I don't know. I think it makes an interesting discussion. I think if somebody can take the time to go back to all the times that Bruno had some sort of impact in all the matches we played and then determine how many points that is, whether that's goal, assist, or whatever, I think it would, and how many points that actually saves us. I think it would be very interesting to see how many points that actually is. And direct involvements in creating chances and goals and stuff like that. So Lyle has dropped, by the way. If you guys don't know, we have a Discord. I'm gonna pin that now and replace my original message. Lyle has dropped the link for our Discord. Drop a like, subscribe, and get in the Discord. Discord is very good. We have the live updates in the Discord. When we're not live, obviously, you know, we all do a good job of updating with news about transfers or, you know, anything going on with the squad and player updates and player injuries and stuff like that. So, and we get to have conversations when we're offline and not here. And you guys don't even need me for the conversations. You guys could have your own conversations. So, yeah, Lyle's dropped the link for the Discord. So if you have Discord and you want to join and you haven't joined, then you know, get in there. Is we want the Discord to be a place of just great community. It's just another place to just hang out and chill with each other after. So, Lancer Evo says, I really appreciate the effort you put into this podcast. It's clear you care about the content and your listeners. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, Lancer Evo. I do. Thank you very much for that. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, I love United like everybody else that's here. That's why we're here, right? And we talk about it. And I believe you know, I love discussion, and I think opinion is important, and I think, you know, sort of free speech of opinion is important as well. And I've always just appreciated conversation. So I try my best to give you guys a voice, and give my voice and my opinion and anybody else. You know, I feel like some of the other sort of shows out there, I feel like, you know, they do comments and they have people that comment and super chats and stuff like that, but I feel like they don't really give the people enough of a voice. I feel like they should give them more of a voice, because it's a channel and it's a community. So you know, that's always been sort of my goal. And I feel like there's some places out there as well that like they just don't provide a proper platform for it. I feel like sometimes there's places where people they don't feel comfortable sharing their opinions. So I try to make it for a place for people to get involved and people to have their say and share ideas with other people. And yeah, you know, hopefully we can make it really big, because I think it could be a really good place, and sort of different in that aspect. So appreciate the kind words, Lancer Evo. Appreciate it very much. I mean, Chad and Lions have absolutely just been battling it out in the comment section, which is fine. Again, I'll tell you guys, please, you guys can disagree, and you don't have to agree, but just don't personally insult each other, please. You know, that's the one thing I always kind of ask. Please don't personally insult each other. You don't have to agree with anything, and I'm not saying anything specific towards one person. I'm just saying, I like this kind of back and forth that's going on in here, right? I like this back and forth that's going on here. It's two guys that they love United. They have two very different opinions about Bruno and players and football, and that's what this is supposed to be. The only thing where I don't like it is when people start personally attacking each other and calling people all sorts of stuff. I don't think there's any need for that. There's never really a need for that. We don't have to agree. We could get frustrated, and that's fine. Lion says I don't agree with him, but I love him, and that's fine. That's all I ask for. That's all I ask for. We don't have to agree. We can get agitated and frustrated and annoyed by the opposing point of view, but at the end of the day, I think if we share ideas, we could agree to disagree or whatever. It's all good. I really do. That's what I love the most about conversation. I think it takes a very sour turn when people start then personally insulting people's intelligence or stuff like that. I don't think it ever has to really go to that level. Just present what you believe, your opinion and facts. And you know what? And then maybe one time, one of the people, you know, they go and they do a little bit of thinking later on, and they go, you know what? At the time, I really disagreed with what Chad was saying, but actually, you know what? Maybe Chad was sort of right on that, and that's why I love conversation. That's why I think freedom of speech and opinion is very important. Because I think without it, we all become sort of senseless, mindless robots that think, you know, what we're told to think. And I think if when there's an expression between two people, it actually gets both people thinking of both sides. So there's been sort of updates around this Bruno thing, though. So I'm going to tell you right now what it is. Breaking news, and this is why I kind of stayed live, because I kind of figured that we were going to get something a little bit more update, because it has been kind of quiet. And I've been expecting more updates. So apparently, again, who are these sources? This is, let me see these guys before I read it out to you. So more sort of, I believe this is some Saudi Arabian, the official account of Al Rihad newspaper, a Saudi newspaper specializing in local and international sports news. They have 1 million followers. They are providing the update. And also, I believe this is a journalist of some sort, or he's not a journalist. I think he's a fan of United, but he's Arabian. He's a picture of Sir Alex Ferguson. So I don't know what connections he sort of has there, but I guess he probably has some sort of connections. But the update goes as follows and says, Al Hilal has submitted an official 3-year offer to Bruno Fernandes. If an agreement is reached with the player, they will negotiate with Manchester United to sign him. So I guess that's why maybe they're, that makes sense. That was probably stupid on my part. I guess that's why there is no transfer fee that was attached to this, because the offer they've made is to Bruno Fernandes and not to Manchester United. So, which when I think about it, and I'm a dummy for this, because I should have, I know this, and I didn't think about it. But obviously, you know, when you do transfers, you want to agree with the player before you go to the club. So obviously, the offer has been to Bruno. There's no offer to United as of yet. The offer is to Bruno Fernandes. It's a contract offer. If he accepts it, then they will negotiate with Manchester United to sign him. I think it's I think this makes an interesting dynamic as well, because again, I don't know if Bruno will necessarily accept this. And also, if you are Manchester United, you might actually want to sell him for 80, 90, 100 million. Do you call Al Hilal up or something and have a conversation with them and go, we know you've made a contract offer to Bruno. We could, you know, he always had that thing where he said that if United want me to stay, I stay. If they don't, I will leave. You know, what are you willing to offer us? Because I feel like for United, if United want the money and they want to do the deal, well, then they need to know how much Al Hilal is going to pay. But because they're going through Bruno first, I don't think they'll have talks with Bruno. So I feel like Bruno will reject it. I feel like Bruno will reject the offer because unless Manchester United comes to him and says, we're thinking about accepting this offer, which hasn't been made to them, then I don't think he's gonna go. I mean, I could be wrong. He could just be like, yeah, you know what, whatever, and be out and maybe just take the money. But you know, I don't really know. So apparently a little bit of the more news that follows into this is that Al Hilal is ready to meet all the players' financial requirements. If a final agreement is reached with the player, Al Hilal will negotiate with Manchester United to purchase his contract. So that is the latest update that we've gotten. That just came out about 14 minutes ago. And I don't really see anything else that has been left out or something like that. So, you know, the Club World Cup starts in June, so we'll see. a lot of people saying, some people saying sell him ASAP, build the team, not individual. PSG flourishing without Mbappe, and that's where I sort of agree. It's not anything against Bruno Fernandes personally. Again, I love Bruno Fernandes. I think he's a good player. I think he's been our best signing since Manchester, since post Sir Alex Ferguson. I think he's been our best sort of buy in terms of money aspect to return. But I've always been very consistent, and I've always been saying, I mean, look at PSG, look at what Luis Campos did there. If you have the correct people that know what they're doing and they do a good job, you can rebuild the team to make it better as a whole. Instead of being sort of a one-man team, which we kind of are, if we say Bruno kind of carries the team on the back, even if the team isn't good, I think he's probably our best performing player, on probably the most consistent basis through his time at Manchester United, because there's lots of players that have been here that they're not even at the club anymore. And PSG are flourishing without Mbappe. Liverpool won a league after Gerrard, and they sold Firmino as well. And United moved after countless legends sold. So this person saying take the 100 million to buy him. Somebody else, let's sell him, buy Eze, Kudus, and Cunha with those funds. But I mean, I think we're buying Cunha regardless, so we don't really need that to fund that. But yeah, people, funny enough, he mentioned Kudus as well, and Kudus is being mentioned in our chat. And then also Eze. People saying Bruno will never leave. People saying, again, sort of a similar sentiment. I want us to win a major European competition or Premier League before he leaves. He deserves it. I mean, that's all good and well, but I don't agree with that argument. I mean, it's nice. It would be nice for him to get it. People have to be careful with what they say, and like, he deserves it. He deserves it if he does it. And the team can do it. I mean, I don't believe, like, when they say, like, we need to win a major European competition or Premier League before he leaves because he deserves it. It makes it sound like he's being handed a fucking participation trophy. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's a nice sort of token or omen if we were able to do that. But at the end of the day, the team, it's about the team. It's about United winning the competition. It's not about him. It's not about Bruno. It's not about Bruno. It's about Manchester United winning that silverware. It's not about Bruno winning that silverware. If he's there and he helps us get there, then, great. And I'll be happy to see him lift it. But I think there's many different options. I think you can have a scenario where he's here and we win it. I think there's a scenario where you sell him and you use the funds to rebuild the team into a better way, and we win it. So people are saying 200 million. I mean, be real. We have another update, a new update. So they're coming late with these updates, man. I don't know why they don't give it to you guys earlier. I mean, especially for UK news. It's 10 p.m. Some people have work and they got to go to sleep tomorrow. Again, reminder that, Ruben Amorim's reaction when he was asked about Real Madrid's interest in Bruno Fernandes, and he said he is not going anywhere, and then that smile. If you think he'd let Bruno leave for Saudi, then you should wake up from that dream, says this United account. Well, I would respond back to this United account by saying, if you think that Ruben Amorim has total 100% say over Bruno Fernandes and what happens with Bruno Fernandes at this football club, I don't think you understand the hierarchy at Manchester United. This isn't Eric Ten Hag 2.0. He can't just veto shit at the club. Like I've pointed out before, Ruben Amorim will most likely want to keep Bruno Fernandes, and he wants to use Bruno Fernandes, and he likes Bruno Fernandes very much. But if there is a meeting at Manchester United, and it's between Ruben, Vivel, Wilcox, Omar, and whoever else is involved, and it's a 6-1 where they say, we're going to sell Bruno Fernandes, take the cash and reinvest it for you. I mean, there's nothing Ruben's going to be able to fucking do about it. I don't think these people necessarily understand how this is operating now, and it's a shame because this account, if you might know it, is United Faithfuls, and they're quite large. They have 480,000 followers, and this is what I dislike about these sorts of accounts. You have a large account. Don't say things that are not accurate. Telling people and saying, if you think he's going to let Bruno leave for Saudi, it's not up to him. It's not 100% up to him. He doesn't have final say. Our club is not operating in that manner. And this is what I sort of hate from these accounts. You have 500,000 United fans following you, and you're giving them sort of false information. Because when they say something like, if you think he'll let Bruno leave for Saudi, then you should wake up from that dream. And we end up selling him. Well, one, you're going to look like an idiot. But then two, you're going to have a lot of people pissed off because they think Bruno's safe, because they think that there's no way Ruben's going to sell him, so there's no way it's going to happen. And then if it does happen, you're going to have a lot of people pissed off for no reason. But we do have an update about Victor Osimhen. This is coming from Santi JFM, who's he's a journalist for Foot Mercado, so take it with a pinch of salt here and there. But apparently a meeting took place today between Manchester United and Victor Osimhen's entourage. Osimhen is very interested in joining United. He wants a salary of 12 million euros per year. What's that per week? It's probably around 300,000, is it not? 12 million divided by 52. It's 230,000 euros per week. What is that? What is that transfer to pounds? Since again, these people, when he comes to Manchester United, you know what they pay him in, right? They pay him in fucking pounds, not euros. So I don't understand why you can't tell us what it would be in pounds and not in euros. That's 230,000. 230,000. It's about 195,000 pounds per week. I mean, if that's real, do it. Do it. I mean, that's much lower than whatever was being priced before. That's much lower than what was being priced before. Before they were saying he wanted 300 to 330,000. You're telling me we could get Victor Osimhen and we're paying him £200 a week? About 220k. I mean, you were close. You were close. You weren't that far off of it. I mean, listen, if we can get Osimhen, I tell you right now, here's the deal. If we can get Osimhen for 60 million or less and pay him the 200,000 for his quality, you do that deal. That's a good deal, and we should do it. And like Lyle says, do it. Mountain, do it. DEWITT, do it. But yeah, I missed part of the chat, so I mean, I get what you're saying, Chad, about Bruno, but I'm just saying that, like, obviously, what we need to do, Chad, with the money that we would get from Bruno is obviously properly reinvested into the squad and make the squad more whole and more well-rounded. You know what I mean? I think the discrepancy that we have is some of us are saying without Bruno, we'd be completely fucked. I think technically, like I used the example before, if we picked him up out of the team and didn't add anything to this team, I honestly, seriously think this team would have been, if they didn't get relegated, we would be so close to getting relegation. Because I don't think that some of the goals that, you know, he doesn't get credited for assists, but some of the goals that we score or chances that we get that we scored, I think are heavily produced by him. I don't think we have players in this team to really do that sort of stuff. So I think we would be in sort of a very bad position. But if we get the money, which allows us to then do what we need to do, and we improve the squad, I agree with you on the fact that, you know, one person is not necessarily the reason we stay up. I think there's a way to improve the team as a whole by using the money from Bruno and you know, and maybe sort of moving it away from sort of a one person team. I don't blame Bruno for being a one person team. It's not his fault. He's just a player. He's, you know, he came here. He's given his best. He's tried to do his best. The club's fault for letting it kind of be what it is. And I feel like we need to do sort of better than that. Chad says 50, 60 million. I think that's too low, Chad. I do. I think we can get, I would be asking for 80 minimum. I would actually ask them for 100 first. They'd probably say no, but I would take, I think you could get 80 for him. I think you get 80 for him. Yes, that explains a lot about last week. Ozzy is a game changer, says Chad. Me and Chad have settled our agreement on Madison. Okay, so very good. What was the conclusion? Because I kind of wasn't able to kind of keep up. There was a lot of back and forth. Lion says, depending if Mount can stay fit, me or Chad, or is it Chad and I? I think it's Chad and I, but I never really liked that anyway. They used to correct us in school about that. And they'd always tell you, you know, I'd say, you know, I'd always say me and my friends, or my friend and I, or something like that. And they're like, no, it's or whatever it is. Now I'm getting confused. They used to tell me the opposite. I'm like, yeah, I don't really care though. It just sounds better the other way. Yeah, we used to say me. Yeah, we used to say in school. We used to say, me and Chad went to the park, and they'd be like, no, you say Chad and I. We are. We are. We are. You know. Wait, what was the conclusion though, Lions? Tell me the conclusion. What was the conclusion? Depending on if Mount can stay fit. I want to hear this conclusion. But yeah, I mean, Osimhen, you know, 195,000 pound sterling, is apparently what he's asking for. I mean, that's a start there. You know, that's a start there. Apparently, Kai Rooney is on fire, which I was talking about him last time. Wayne Rooney's son scores extra time winner versus Manchester City. An incredible game was capped off by the U15s. Kai Rooney scoring in extra time to help beat rivals Man City in the final 4-3. They were 3-0 down. 3-0 down with 15 minutes to go. And they said, like father, like son. And can we get in trouble if I pull this up? I don't even know how to pull this up. I don't even know how to do this. Let me see. Copy link. Can I get a browser source in here? What's this? There goes my logo. How do I change this? I wanna put it on my screen. I wanna be cool. I wanna be cool like the other guys. I wanna be cool. I wanna have a little video playing on my screen so people could say it's so cool that he does things like that. I wanna be cool. I wanna be cool. I wanna be cool, and I don't know how. No, that's not it. I wanna be cool. How do I do this? I don't remember. I don't remember how I did it the first time. It's not properties. Window. You're gonna piss me off now. Oh, here we go. Is this it? Oh my god. Oh my god. Wait, I might have gotten it. I might have gotten it. Although I don't know how I'm going to necessarily do this, but I don't like it. Sound in French. Sound in French. Oui, 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 oui. Read your bloody chat, you lazy git. My thumbs can't do it again. So this, I mean, you don't have to just give me a roundup. Just give me, you know, just give me the basic, you know, the basic whatever. Anybody go for some Job? I don't know. But here. Oh man. Hold on. How's that? Is it messed up? Do I gotta move it? I can't see. Oh yeah, it's messed up. How do we fix it? Hold on, I gotta fix it. I gotta fix it. I gotta fix it. I gotta fix it. We would like to see all of this, please. Thank you. Ah, here we go. See, we're learning now. We're learning now. We'd like to see this. We are in cake eating depression mode. All right, ready? Hold on. Before I play it, I'm gonna make sure it's looking good on the screen. Let me see. I'll wait for the okay. All right, no sound because we'll get copyrighted. I don't even know if we will, but here you go. You want to see Kai Rooney score extra time winner versus Manchester City? Here you go. Elite content. Ready? Pay attention. Oh, it wasn't a free kick. All right, but whatever. He scored. I thought it was from the free kick he scored it. Wearing number 7. He's one for the future, guys. He's one for the future. He's going to do it for us. Kai Rooney. Kai Rooney. Let's watch it again. Can we play some sound? I think we'll get in trouble for that, but I'll try. I don't know if it'll come through necessarily. I don't know if there's sound. I don't think there's sound. Doesn't work. Rooney's son on fire. Putting in that work. Putting in that work. Putting in that work. Right. I said technically we have Bruno replacement in Mount if he could stay fit. Then I like the idea of Mount and Madison. All right. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. So like, I mean, that is kind of true. If Mount can stay fit, I don't know if he can. I mean, we would need some sort of a replacement, but again, I would say that I feel like what we have to do. I feel like what we have to do is we need to we got to do what Liverpool did with Firmino and use that to build the squad out of it. So yeah. But but oh, but we got another update. You know, what's with the late updates? Now we're getting updates about Gyökeres. They just don't want me to get off. That's what it is. I mean, I got things I gotta go do. But this was supposed to be an hour stream. And it's 2.5 hours now. Manchester United's priority striker target is Victor Gyökeres if they win the Europa League. There is a 4-man striker shortlist, which also includes Osimhen, Liam Delap, and another European striker. Well, why couldn't you tell me who the other one was? I would like to know that. You know, why you like this? Yeah. Yeah, so Gyökeres, United's top priority if they qualify for Champions League. Well, I say let's double qualify for Champions League then, because I want Victor Gyökeres. I think he will make a huge difference, and I think he's the right player. Although I'm not 100% against. I'm not too fussed. I would just say, please, Gyökeres or Osimhen, one of the two. I don't want Delap to be the guy that's not. We don't know if he's going to be the guy. All right. Santi J. I mean, this better be true. We gotta keep, could be some bullshit. There's a lot of bullshit out there. Unfortunately, it tends to be a lot more bullshit than not bullshit. So, I mean, let's see. Let's see. These guys write articles. I mean, they're horrible. I don't know anybody on that uses X. You guys know Centre Devils, the account, if you know about it. I mean, these guys, they make articles and they're horrible. They're garbage. Number one, they're total clickbait, and I hate them. And they just the shit articles, man. I sent them a message last time. I was like, dude, I was like, I like the job you do in terms of aggregating news with the account, but I'm like, you got to do something about the articles you do. I'm like, they're very bad articles, very bad articles. So much so that I don't even click on them anymore because there's a couple of them I clicked on. They're super they're super clickbait with no information, and they're very just poor articles. Yeah, and I don't like that. So, yeah. Have you checked Koku out? I know about Koku. He played for Feyenoord, then led them to the cup. I know about Koku. My friend is doesn't shut up about that motherfucker. The Turkish man. Turkish man. Yeah, he's very good. So much so that because he plays for Benfica. My friend is a Benfica fan. No, Orkun. His name is Orkun Koku. Yeah, so much so that when he scores goals, my friend sends me pictures of baklava and says that it tastes amazing. And that we hungry for that baklava. That's what he tells me when he's scoring goals for Benfica. And he keeps telling me, you got to go get somebody that respects the baklava and put them on United. And he said it does wonders for your team. So, yeah, I don't think he wants us to take his baklava, but I mean, yeah, never played for Feyenoord. Well, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he played. All I know is that he's playing in Organ Cuckoo. Organ Cuckoo? No, Orkun. Orkun is his name. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, he has a sibling named Ozan, unless you're talking about him. He has a sibling named Ozan, but I don't think he's very good. He plays in he's 26 and plays, I don't even know where the hell he plays. He was born in the Netherlands. Plays for the Azerbaijan national team. Yeah. Yeah, Kaku. Yeah, PSV. Yeah. Yeah. Orkun. Yep. I mean, we could use some Turkish. I'll take who's the guy from I forgot his name. Yildiz. I'll take Yildiz. We'll take a little bit of so we're not talking about Philip Kaku. Who is Philip Kaku? I don't even know who that is. No, we're talking about Orkun. ORKUNKOKCU. Or at least that's who I'm talking about. Orkun Koku. He's a midfielder and plays for Benfica and is in the Turkey national team. And is actually quite a good player. And he has 31 matches played, 7 goals, 7 assists for Benfica. And my friend describes him as a magician. He played for Feyenoord 2018 and joined Benfica in 2023. So yeah, that's the Koku that I'm talking about. I think there's a couple Kokus out there though, so I think I'm going Koku. But anyway, I'm getting out of here. No, I was right, Feyenoord. I don't know what Koku you're talking about. Oh yeah, this Koku. Okay, yeah, the one for Feyenoord. All right. Listen, I'm getting out of here. I gotta go. I got things to do. And I wasn't even necessarily going to stream today, so I'll try to keep you guys posted if we stream tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure if we will. But maybe so. If we do, I will see. I try to keep. Well, obviously, if you're in Discord, you get notified and you get updated. And I'll also try to put an update in the community tab as well. For the community post on YouTube. So I'll let you guys know about that. If you haven't smashed the like button, smash the like button, please. If you did, thank you. I ask one more thing. Please get in the comment section after I end the live video. It's important for the channel. It helps the channel. I mean, I'm not saying this like in a bad way. I don't really care what you guys put in there. You can put, you know, a short comment, a small comment. You could literally say 4 words. It could be to me. It could be anything about United. Realistically, you know, obviously it's good if you keep it about United or football. You can give an opinion. You know, it's good for the channel. It makes the channel look good. Also, it's good for the algorithm. YouTube uses comments to push videos out as well for the algorithm. So if you guys can get there and put the comments in there, I greatly appreciate it. The more we get, the better we do. So, and then other than that, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you to anybody that's subscribed and that's new. We appreciate it. And I'll let you guys know tomorrow. I'll keep you guys posted if we go live. If we don't go live tomorrow, then maybe we'll do we'll probably do Wednesday, and then obviously Thursday. So I'll try to keep you guys posted on the. Thank you, Lyle. You didn't have to do that. At the end, comes in with a super chat, says cheers, Eric, and all your Reds. Appreciate that very much, Lyle. You've been absolutely massive for me and the channel. And I appreciate that very much. You know, there's I don't require those. I don't ask people to do them. I feel bad sort of asking people to do that. They don't have to do that. But you know, if you do that, I do greatly appreciate that. So thank you, Lyle, very much for the super chat and the donation. Which is also a thing, by the way. You know, I didn't know that apparently I can't take the money out until I hit a certain amount of money. So I thought, like, you know, if I accumulate $50, I would be able to, you know, withdraw that from YouTube, and I can't. Apparently I have to get $100 minimum. Otherwise YouTube just holds the money. So I'm kind of pissed about that. But the reason why I don't really ask for super chats or anything like that is because I feel like if I were to ask for them and stuff like that, I feel like there's something that I need to provide back. And I haven't really figured that out yet. So when I come up with something that seems sort of like a fair business wise, where like people are incentivized to do that sort of stuff, and they receive something that's actually worth something in return, then you know, I'll push it more. But you know, if you do it, I greatly appreciate it. So thank you very much. I love that. And you know, it won't go unnoticed. So we'll chat a little bit more in the Discord as well. So if you're not in the Discord, make sure you're in the Discord. I'm gonna add that. It's in our bio. I think I have to add it to the live descriptions of the shows. I forgot to do that, but I'm going to put it in the comment section. So I look forward to you guys. Please get in the comment section after I end this video. And I'll keep you guys posted about what we do. If we stream tomorrow or Wednesday, we'll definitely be live after the match on Thursday for sure. So you don't have to worry about that one. And I'll try to give you guys a good amount of time to jump in here. So yeah, big respect to Lyle, and shout out to all of you as well, Chad, and you know, Lions, and everybody that's always here, and they're always here. And shout out to, there was some new people like Irfane joined us today, and Rajat's usually always with us as well. And there was some couple other people very early on in the show. Ray was also here before as well, and Nemanja, we love Nemanja Vidic, RSV as well. And dude, you know what I find kind of quite weird? Why does RSV put messages and the messages? Why does he retract his messages? Because I thought his messages were being deleted, but it's him deleting his own messages. So I find that, I mean, I would like to ask him why. Shout out to Lancer Evo, by the way, as well. Shout out to Lancer Evo. I can't go any higher. There was like 1 or 2 people in here. I want to shout them out. I forgot their name. Yeah, I can't go higher in the chat. So yeah. That's what we're all about here, Chad. Love and respect. Yes. But don't mess with Shaw. Yeah, no, Ray was here. There was like 1 or 2 that they were brand new, brand new, first time chatters. But I can't go back. I can't go that high back up into the chat because I think I think I think you guys broke my chat with chat and with chat and lines just going at it. I think they broke my chat. I can only go so high. I can't go further back. RSV does that in other channels as well. Does he really? All right. I thought at first, when he first joined, I thought something was wrong, and I thought like I thought my our channel or whatever. I thought it was like or I thought it was like Grace or something because she was moderating at the time. I thought he was getting his comments deleted for something he was saying. So, but then I noticed that happens quite a lot. So I don't know. Chad broke my thumb, so I can relate it. Sure is a topic for Elon Musk. All right, guys, be good. Have a good rest of your days. Day, night, evening, wherever, whatever it is for you guys. Appreciate the love. Please remember, get in the comments as soon as I end this. We need to hear from you. Yeah, Irfane. I shouted Irfane out. So shout out to him. I hope he subscribed. He made some good points and we'd like to hear from him as well back again. So I'll keep you guys updated. We'll talk in the Discord if we want to talk anymore, whatever. Catch y'all later. Thank you for the love and support. As always, I appreciate every single one of you very, very much. And we will speak very, very soon.